Storm Team 8 is tracking a severe weather alert.
Good evening, West Michigan. Storm Team 8 Chief Meteorologist Ellen Bacca here, joining you in the 24-hour tracking center alongside meteorologist Blake Harms, meteorologist Sara Flynn. We have a line of powerful storms approaching Lake Michigan, and we have our first severe thunderstorm warnings of the night. This is for the potential of 70-mile-per-hour winds. Now, you'll notice it's not just one county that's highlighted here. We have Oceana County, Muskegon County, over towards Ottawa County and up to the north. So this is going to continue to move in. Again, forward moving speed is how fast?
55
miles per hour. So as expected, these are pushing in very quickly. A lot of lightning with these. Penny-sized hail expected with this portion of the particular line, but we could see some spots within the line that produce larger hail. So the primary threat with this first severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued tonight for so many communities in our area is going to be damaging winds gusts. Winds to 70 miles per hour, strong enough to knock down trees, especially if the trees are damaged. And we have had some incidents where trees have fallen on houses and cars already this year. So we do want you to get inside, go to a lower level and stay safe as this moves through. Here's some arrival times. And because this line is moving pretty consistently towards the lakeshore, a lot of the arrival times are going to be pretty similar. Still, I'm going to read them out for you in case you're watching us, listening to us, starting to grab some things to stay safe. Duck Lake, storm arrival time 9:30 here. Pentwater, 9:31. Montague, 9:32. Shelby, 9:33, along with Whitehall. If you live in Ludington, 9:33. Hart, 9:34. PJ Hoffmaster State Park likely arriving around 9:35. And then the Michigan Adventures area, North Muskegon, 9:36. You can see that we do have some showers and storms ahead of this portion of the line that have started to pop, and they're actually a little bit separate. These are going to continue to track into West Michigan as well, so would not be surprised if Allegan County soon is impacted as well. But different parts of this line will likely have different hazards. Sara, you were just mentioning that our friends in the National Weather Service Office of Chicago have been noticing something about the cells on the southern part of the line.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about earlier in this week, we'd be able to watch these storms form in Wisconsin and Illinois tracking across the lake towards us. The concern now is, although it looks fairly linear, which typically poses, as you mentioned, that wind and maybe some hail threat, there is a little bit of signs of rotation with some of these far southern cells. So that's something we're keeping a close eye on. Still no tornado warnings in effect tracking our direction, but we'll have to watch for that potential rotation in northwest Indiana and portions of southern Michigan over the next hour or so here.
Yeah, and you can see how this storm is lifting to the northeast. So as these storms lift into the northeast, likely going to be impacting the I-94 corridor. And something that we have been talking about for the last couple of days is how folks near I-94 right around it probably have a higher potential of maybe seeing tornadoes, and then folks further to the north a better potential of seeing hail and wind. My goodness, occasionally we've been popping up the sky cam. You're looking at Grand Haven right now, and it's looking at this portion of the storm that I'm pointing to right off the shore. Tons of lightning with this that shows us just how powerful these storms are. Also shows us that there's a lot of hail being held within the updrafts. So if we have a lot of hail within the updrafts, it just shows that even though the water is cold on Lake Michigan, even though we're past sunset, these storms are not slowing down. Right now, Sara Flynn popping on the hail tracker for us. This is really helpful. It's a good tool to show us where pockets of even larger hail might be located. So you can see from our hail tracker that these storms are kind of moving east, potentially northeast with these individual cells. So spots like Holland might have to watch for some larger hail. And tonight, as we go through the night, we could very well see some pockets of hail that are ping pong ball size, even tennis ball size, not out of the question. Now, historically, this line has not put down any tennis ball size hail that I'm aware of. Blake, Sara, correct me if I'm wrong, but still, ping pong ball size hail is enough to dent your car and kind of rough up your siding, maybe do some damage to your shingles. So Muskegon, down to Holland especially, this portion of the storm is getting quite close, and this severe thunderstorm warning is valid until 10:45. So our producer's just now popping up the Holland Skycam there. So this is Boatworks. You can see it's not too windy out yet, but a lot of the warm air at the surface here is probably rushing into these storms, helping to fuel them. We haven't really decoupled the atmosphere yet, so they're still getting a lot of support. And everyone in West Michigan is likely going to be seeing showers and storms tonight. You might be looking at this little gap, this little break here. And again, that doesn't mean that it's a dud or weakening. It means that there's the potential that some of these storms could actually use that surrounding energy and produce some rotation. So anytime we watch for tornadoes, there's two spots. Along the main line, we look for little eddies along the line that can sometimes spin up small tornadoes. And then occasionally when we have these discrete cells, these cells that are standing out separately, we look for the bottom edge, the southeastern portion of the storm for the potential of a tornado. So I don't know, Sarah, Blake, if you're able to see if there's any rotation popping up along this line yet, anything of concern, or if it's mainly just this wind right now.
One mesoscale note, Ellen, just to peel back the curtain a little bit, we've been watching the ingredients, and I do want to make a quick programming note that if you're looking for a Law and Order, you can hop on Peacock because we want to stay on this line. The parameters are lining up as such that we could see hail, wind, and tornadoes out of this. Ellen, you'll know what I'm talking about here. One of the parameters we use is called the significant tornado parameter, and that's just a tool that essentially evaluates how conducive the atmosphere is to tornadoes. It's up to a 2 to 4 now. It has climbed within the last hour. What that means for you folks at home is that the environment for tornadoes is growing as such that we could see spin-ups happen as soon as this line reaches the lake shore and moves toward 131. So that's why we want to stay on this. At this point, I don't see anything that screams strong rotation to me right now. If anything else, I think there's a really strong signature of wind that is going to move on shore to Holland here, the rear inflow part of this line. In fact, from Grand Haven down to about Holland, that's tracking east-northeast. And it's sampling a few thousand feet up in the atmosphere, but suggesting that winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour, which of course the line is warned for 70-mile-per-hour winds. But I think this is a very strong line, and as we continue to look, this is from our Muskegon camera. This shows you just how strong these thunderstorms are. It's been a while since you've had a complex with this much lightning and this much potential as the atmosphere is primed and ready to go. Sarah, I see you looking at velocity over there. Is there anything that sticks out?
Yeah, I agree. I do think there's a little bit of notches trying to form over the lake. It's always a little bit challenging for us to deem what's exactly happening when it's over the lake, but once it hits land, we'll have a much clearer image of exactly if there is rotation or if there needs to be a tornado warning in effect. I do agree with what you're saying. Nothing glaring at this point. Wind is definitely the top threat that we're tracking. Even the warning that's in effect for Ottawa and Muskegon County, that's tagged for penny-sized hail, so fairly minor, especially compared to what this line was producing in portions of Wisconsin and Illinois. For the time being, again, it is that wind threat with gusts upwards of about 70 miles per hour.
Looking now over Muskegon, you can see the sky cam there with all that lightning, and yes, it definitely looks intense. Looks like it's about 20 miles offshore from Port Sheldon, that wind maximum that Sarah was just telling you about. And again, in addition to that, yes, so if we look at velocity right about here, and it looks like with our tracker here, maybe 15 miles off the shore. So we have a short distance to go. This line of storms moving close to about 50 miles per hour, and we are going to have to watch, again, that big burst of winds for Ottawa County, and potentially, as Blake was mentioning, as this rolls on shore, just looking at some of our surface observation stations, we have winds coming in out of the southeast at the surface. So sometimes that can initiate a little bit of low-level spin, and that's what can help to transition things over to more of a tornado type setup. So all in all, in Storm Track Live, everyone needs to be thinking of, where's my safe spots? Do I want to prepare ahead of time? Do I maybe want to turn this into a fun night where the kids spend the night in the basement? Because the thickness of some of these storms is quite robust. It could be a good half an hour, 40 minutes that you're dealing with thunderstorm action even after the wind threat subsides. So we're getting closer and closer to landfall of this line. We've been talking about how storms could be possible as early as 8 p.m., but especially 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock today. And it looks like we're right on track as these storms continue to climb. Now, occasionally, as we have some of these initial cells, it can historically weaken the main line, but I don't think that's going to be the case. These storms have so much upper level support that I don't think they're going to be slowing down. I think that it's going to continue to barrel inland. So again, if we could turn on velocity, Sarah, once more for me. Yes, and then measure out to this maximum. Granted, as we mentioned, this is a little bit higher up in the atmosphere, so it doesn't necessarily mean that the wind is at the surface, but it looks like that maximum peak velocity where we're seeing a burst of winds only about 20 miles offshore from the Ottawa County shoreline at this point in time. So Port Sheldon, Holland, you need to be thinking about where your safe place is, Grand Haven especially, and then Muskegon up through Mason County, Oceana County, also still bracing for wind gusts of 70 miles per hour. So here's some fresh tracks, not just the leading edge of the rain, but where we could potentially see that burst of wind. Duck Lake, potentially seeing some damaging wind gusts close to 944. White Lake, 945. Ferrysburg 946, Grand Haven 946, Norton Shores 947, West Olive 948. If you live in Montague, North Muskegon, Muskegon Heights, you might be seeing the winds really pick up just at about 9:45, 10 p.m. here. And when the wind comes in, it does look like it could be strong enough to knock down some trees and certainly some power outages. So that's one of the first tools that we're going to be looking at to see if damage has indeed made it to the ground. Because sometimes you can have all this powerful wind high up in the storm, but it doesn't translate down. I do think that we're going to be seeing at least some of this make it down to the surface. We have heavy downpours, and all of that rain is a good way to carry fast wind down to the surface. So again, this is why all day today we've been pretty loud with our messaging that we could see strong to severe storms. Everyone going to be seeing thunderstorms tonight. Oh my goodness, with this lightning behind me. Like, this is what West Michigan is getting ready for. We just have to watch for those damage points. So hopefully most of us can get through this evening without experiencing damage. But gotta let you know, when we see winds gusting near 70 miles per hour, that can be as strong as a weak tornado. So I don't want you to think, winds, we've done that before. Like, when you get to this threshold of winds, you need to take it a bit more seriously.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ellen. The Weather Service, we're keeping in touch with the Weather Service in Grand Rapids, as we always do. They're great partners for us, and they're mentioning they are increasingly concerned about that area of strong winds that you just pointed out that's moving toward Ottawa County. This kind of the southern part of the line, or at least it was for a while, seems to have the most organized wind speed as it continues to approach the lakeshore. And given the dynamics that we have in play, I certainly think 70-mile-per-hour winds are more than possible as this line moves on shore here in about 10 minutes or so.
So you got 10 minutes to maybe get your things together, 10 minutes to try to figure out where are my flashlights. Hopefully you already did some of that beforehand. And I'm going to be kind of looking at some of my tools as well. Sara and Blake looking at some of the best products over there. So we're all going to be communicating back and forth. But we always want to keep you safe. We always want to give you the best possible information. So
just as a real quick housekeeping note, the tornado watch has been extended for Barry and Cass and St. Joseph counties. And as you were just mentioning to me, Sara, it seems like those storms mean business. I've been seeing 70 to 80-mile-per-hour winds through downtown Chicago.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, if there were to be a tornado that formed or a tornado warning, there's definitely a possibility of some of those being embedded along the line for that severe thunderstorm warning tracking east right now. But off to the south, we're going to have to watch some of these cells popping. It won't take a whole lot to see some of those start spinning and potentially issue a tornado warning there. So good decision for them to extend it that direction. Again, this tornado watch in effect for pretty much all of West Michigan at this point until 3 a.m. That likely will move out of our area by about midnight. Midnight is the time frame that you should be on most high alert before it continues tracking off to our east.
So a short period of time, just a short period of time that we're hoping that you guys can just take those extra measures, stay away from windows, go to the bottommost level of your house. If you're wondering what a safe spot might be, it's usually one of the smallest rooms in your house away from windows. The more walls close together, the better. And I really think Ottawa County especially needs to take this one seriously, as Blake was just mentioning. And the tornado threat potential south of I-94 is something that we're going to continue to monitor. But Grand Haven, Spring Lake, if you live in Nunica, Robinson Township, Allendale, along Kirk Park area, West Olive, Port Sheldon, Zeeland, Holland, Ottawa Beach, even over towards Hudsonville, because as mentioned again, there's not a lot to slow these things down. In fact, the upper level winds, called like a low-level jet, strengthening this evening. So that's why we've seen these storms blossom and continue to thrive. Once that piece came into play, it filled in these storms, and it's giving it that upper-level support to create a severe setup. I mean, we've been warm and humid the last couple of days, but today it's been even hotter and even better lift and upper-level support. So you can see the sky cams just flashing. This is a serious storm. We definitely want you to take it seriously. Unfortunately, a lot of the storms that we've tracked, like the last year or so, downed trees have caused more problems than anything. So please don't be in your car. It's not a safe place to be. Please get inside. Go to the lowest level of your house. So Muskegon area probably seeing tons of lightning. Total strikes just in this view coming in at 7,100. 147. I mean, that's incredible, Blake and Sarah.
Yeah, that's a very high amount. Earlier when we were seeing 10,000, if I zoom out, I think it will get much closer to that 10,000 mark. That's something we rarely see here. So that is also a threat too, right? We do have to watch those wind speeds and the potential for some hail out there, tagged with the severe thunderstorm warning. But for now, that lightning, and you can see it on the cameras, completely just lighting up the sky there.
I think we're about to get a new warning for Allegan and Van Buren, a severe
Yeah.
thunderstorm warning, which checks out as that line is kind of built a little further south.
You know, something else I'm seeing that I'm not liking, along this line, it's just so ragged, you know? Like, it's not a clear line. We have so many little divots and so many opportunities for spin. I don't know if we have any rotation showing up.
You're good. Sorry about that. The
No,
tornado
you're fine.
watch just came in late. You're
Okay.
good.
New severe thunderstorm warning for Allegan and Van Buren. This is in effect for hail up to, I believe that's golf ball size. This is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. Hail up to golf ball, winds up to 70 miles per hour. It looks like, yeah, they're just warning this whole line, and this is moving east at 65 miles per hour. So they say this bottom half of the line is really bucking up.
Golf ball size hail absolutely can do damage to vehicles and property, something that we need to watch. Let's see.
It looks like this line's the whole line's starting to speed up a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Looks like we have a tornado warning.
Yes, that's
Oh,
correct.
we have a tornado warning. Who's it for?
Tornado warning, Ottawa County, Muskegon County.
All right.
Moving into
We're going to drop that live shot. We got a tornado warning for the lakeshore. Severe thunderstorms capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage were located 10 miles west of Grand Haven. So they're essentially saying this is for damaging winds and embedded tornadoes within the line. You can see there it's for far northern Ottawa, much of Muskegon, and then southwestern Newaygo.
So this is Dalton, Twin Lake, Holton, Muskegon, Muskegon Heights, Norton Shores, Fruitport, Grand Haven, Coopersville, Ravenna, you need to take cover. Wolf Lake, you need to take cover. Bridgeton, Grant, Newaygo, Fremont, you're right on the line of the tornado warning, but I would still recommend taking cover, and then Casnovia as well. So this, again, is a tornado warning that's been issued, as Blake just mentioned, for winds that can do damage, straight line winds, and also the potential to kick up a tornado. As we've been mentioning, this line is so ragged, and it honestly makes me just a little nervous, because anytime you have these huge gaps in the line, at any moment, that low-level inflow on land could spin something up. And as we've been mentioning, if we see a tornado form, it has very good potential to become strong quickly. So I want you to take this one seriously. It's not going to be a long period of time that you have to get to your safe space, but it's at your doorstep right now. Muskegon, Muskegon Heights, Norton Shores, likely already raining over you. But if we switch to velocity mode, you can see where the high wind is. So even if you don't see a spin-up tornado at your location, the high wind is very present here. So this is rolling towards Muskegon, towards PJ Hoffmaster, the Lakes Mall, Grand Haven, and as it's moving closer to the radar, we're getting a better sample of it. So we're seeing winds likely 70 miles per hour within this storm, and the question is, will it be able to mix down? But oftentimes when we see this huge bowing, it almost always mixes down. So I have not a great feeling about this huge line that's moving very quickly.
No, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No.
There's one thing that has me concerned as well, that is just offshore of Allegan County, and I want to focus in. I'm going to draw a survey. If you're able to take me in boxes, that would be great. Sorry, Mike was muted. If you're able to take me in boxes, that would be great. But if not, I can move out of the way and show you what's going on here. So we have an area of rotation that's just offshore. And again, this is not warranty yet, but this has been strengthening over the last few scans. This is offshore of Saugatuck and Douglas. And if we turn on our rotation tracker, you can see there's a bullseye right here. So not only are we focused on the new tornado warning that's in effect for northern Ottawa, much of Muskegon and Newaygo counties, but I think there's a pretty strong supercell that's developing just offshore of Allegan County. So if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, if you're anywhere along the lakeshore west of 131, now's the time to begin preparing to head to your safe spot, as I think we have several potential areas of rotation. And I really do not like the look of this southern part of this line in particular. Again, no warning with that yet, and we have a little more time than we do with this line that is about to reach the lakeshore.
Can we put a track on that?
Yes, we can. Yep. And I assume this is moving at about 65 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Let me do this
65,
here.
yeah, you're right.
65? Okay, I'm just gonna put a general track on this. It looks to me like it's moving kind of east-northeast. Is that okay? Good track, Sarah?
Yeah,
okay.
you're good.
So this is gonna be heading toward Holland State Park here in about 15 minutes. This will be toward Fenville and Holland right around 10 o'clock. Hamilton just after 10. Hudsonville, if it continues on its current track, just after 10:10. Jamestown, Georgetown Township, Jenison over toward Granville and the Mall. Again, it's just one of those things that caught my eye right away, and this is all going to develop pretty quickly. But
like those latest scans coming in are quite alarming.
Yeah, the couplet right now, just offshore, would not be surprised if a water spout is currently on the lake. And as Blake just mentioned, this is headed towards the Holland area, so just north of Douglas. We're going to have to watch scan by scan for the actual storm movement. So not only do we have the tornado warning in Muskegon County, but this one that Blake is tracking. Go ahead, Blake.
This is almost a repeat of March 30th, but perhaps a bit more severe in terms of the potential for hail and tornadoes. If you're within this line, if you have this line moving in your direction in any of the lakeshore counties, I think it's a good idea to treat this as if it's capable of producing a tornado or tornado-like damage and to start heading to your safe spot. I think this is turning into a pretty dangerous situation for the lakeshore.
I completely agree. This looks like it's lifting a bit more towards, again, the Holland, Port Sheldon area. So not only do we have that big burst of winds that we're watching for all of Ottawa County and that big burst of winds that we're watching for Muskegon County, we have that couplet. So Sarah, if you could help to identify where this couplet is, should be right about here, lifting towards the Holland area that Blake was just talking about, in addition to this huge burst of winds that's getting closer and closer to Grand Haven. So damage likely with this line. Would not be surprised if this touches down once it comes on shore. That has happened before. As we've been mentioning, it does not matter that Lake Michigan is cold. We had an F4 tornado touch down right on Saugatuck, remember, back in 1956. So when you get parameters that are strong enough, it does not matter what the lake is doing. It just matters that once it hits shore, it receives that inflow. So about 16 miles away. And again, the couplet that I'm seeing on my phone here on one of my radar applications is quite impressive. In addition to that, again, we have severe thunderstorm warnings for the entire lakeshore. We have a tornado watch that has been added for our southern row of counties. And we also have a severe thunderstorm warning that reaches all the way up into Mason County. So lightning prevalent, winds to 70, in some places golf ball size hail for Allegan County especially. That is strong enough to do damage to cars, to dent siding. This is definitely a line that we need to be taking seriously, and I hope that you're taking a moment now to go inside and go to your safe place. If you live along 131 a little further inland and you're like, wait and see, I would start getting things together now. You can see that nothing has slowed this line down. If anything, it's gotten stronger and stronger. And as it's tracking at about 50 miles per hour, it's going to continue to barrel inland. So no matter where you are in West Michigan tonight, we need you to take this one seriously. This one looks like it could do pockets of significant damage. Looks like, Sarah, we're getting very close to this portion of the storm making it on shore. Again, we've also been looking at the winds inside the storm to see when that wind gust may arrive. And soon our producers in the booth, after this rolls on shore, going to start looking for power outages in the Muskegon County area, the Ottawa County area especially. As they're doing that, we'll continue to focus in on this couplet that's formed to the south in the Ottawa County area. So all in all, not a good situation for us tonight in West Michigan. It does look like this couplet is lifting more north to me than due east. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but it looks like it's almost tracking a little bit further north in the latest few scans.
It is. I just want to make a quick note. I think if you're in Grand Haven, it looks like the strongest wind is going to be impacting you. Sorry, I keep muting my mic. It's back open now. Sorry about that. Grand Haven, I think the strongest wind is about to impact you right now. Where you see these lighter shades of green, these are where we have winds potentially up to 70 to 80 miles per hour. These are just about to move on shore, hit the state park, and in just a minute, I want my producer to put us up in boxes with the Grand Haven cam if we can. There's obviously a ton of lightning taking place. Grand Haven is included in this tornado warning because this is part of the line that's capable of experiencing not only significant straight line winds, but also those spin-up tornadoes embedded within the line. But when I look at the strongest part of this wind right now, and in fact, I'm going to loop it over the last 15 minutes here, just to kind of show you, we have the lighter pocket of green that is now concentrating. Grand Haven's about to take a direct hit from some very, very strong winds, I think potentially upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour.
Blake, I don't mean to cut you off. If you sample it, you're getting 80 to 90 reports.
80 to 90.
If you sample it, those are estimates coming off of our radar, but what he's pointing to, that bright green color, is being sampled between 80 and 90 mile per hour winds. So there's a potential.
Moving toward Grand Haven, Ferrysburg, Spring Lake. If you're in any of those communities, if you're not already in your safe spot, now's a good time to head there. Not only because of the tornado warning that's in effect, but because this is really just a significant straight line wind situation. And as soon as this moves on shore, as soon as this starts moving away from Lake Michigan, we could see spin-up tornadoes, I think, occur very quickly with this line, just like what we saw back in March. This is a very similar situation here, but these winds are no joke, and I think Grand Haven's about to take a pretty hard hit from this line. If you're in Muskegon, the strongest winds as of now, still treat this like it's a serious situation. Stay in your safe spot. As of now, I think just south of Muskegon down toward Norton Shores, Grand Haven, Spring Lake area, that's where I think we have the strongest winds. Could even impact Port Sheldon Township into Robinson. This will eventually be moving over toward Nunica and Coopersville if it maintains its strength. But as of now, this is the part of the line I think I'm most concerned about.
Absolutely agree. And it's barreling in. So again, moments away from the Grand Haven area, we're likely going to be able to get some confirmation soon from Consumers outage. Sara sampling it for us. This is close to 90 miles per hour. And as the storm gets closer to shore, the radar is sampling further down in the storm, closer to the surface. So this shows us the wind speed right off the ground. With this heavy rain that's already moved on shore, very likely that this is about to roll on shore. So again, if we want to pop up the Grand Haven camera just so we can get some ground truth, we might be able to see that in double boxes with the radar. And as Blake just mentioned, a lot of the intense winds is just to the south of Muskegon. But this entire line is still quite robust.
Just a quick programming note, Ellen. We're just hearing, it sounds like we are simulcasting on iHeart radio stations, including B93, Star 105.7, Wood Radio. If you need to get in your tornado spot and you do not have a TV in your basement, you can listen to us on any of our iHeart partner stations. They are simulcasting our coverage tonight, and it looks like the strong winds are moving onshore into Ottawa County right now, far southern Ottawa County. This is a very dangerous situation for Grand Haven, Port Sheldon Township. I think we have winds imminently close to 80 miles per hour. We're also simulcasting on 104.5 WSNX. Thanks to Dave Taft from iHeart for letting us know. But this is turning into a very serious situation for this entire line. And we're continuing to watch the southern part of this line, and we're starting to see these little notches where I think we may have some rotation or strong winds developing. So good idea. Again, we've been saying it for the last several minutes. If you're under a severe thunderstorm warning right now, treat it like it's capable of producing tornado-like damage and head to your safe spot.
Burst of winds also looks like it's headed towards southern Allegan County, kind of moving up towards central Allegan County, so we will continue to watch that. It's also the portion of the line that was associated with rotation. My goodness, I believe that's Muskegon cam right now.
That is.
So Muskegon's not even experiencing the strongest winds.
Ellen,
remember, the strongest winds in Grand Haven, yes.
Wind is up to 100 miles per hour. Being sampled by the radar in Grand Haven right now. This is
Grand Haven, Ferrysburg. You need to take cover now. This is as strong as a weak tornado. And by weak tornado, we mean a tornado that's strong enough to knock down trees, to do significant damage. Yes, that bullseye is strengthening. So we're going to have Sara zoom in on the Grand Haven area. This is Grand Haven again, Ferrysburg. Fruitport, this is just to your south. You're likely still going to be seeing winds gusting near 70 miles per hour, but it's right about here that we're seeing the most intense action. And again, live look just outside, you can see that the lightning is still flaring. So the heavy winds making it onshore. Producers, please be keeping an eye on the outage map. We likely are going to be seeing massive outages in the Ottawa County area near Grand Haven, Ferrysburg, and you can see how the line just continues to push even further to the east. Something I don't like too, slight divot in the line on the south side of Grand Haven. So as we mentioned, the burst of winds, the primary threat, and then right about here, would not be surprised if we started to see a bit of spin. So this entire thing needs to be taken very seriously. It's tracking how quickly, Sara?
Still at 65. Most 65? Of the line is moving at 65. It's sped up and it's kind of coming together a little bit more. So.
Okay, so this also is going to be headed towards Coopersville, probably splitting between Fruitport and the Coopersville area. This is going to be headed towards Wright, and then eventually headed towards Plainfield Charter Township. So potentially seeing this, depending on how it behaves as it moves inland into the Kent County area. So we need to be taking this very seriously. Again, a tornado warning is valid. Tornado warning is valid for the Muskegon area, northern Ottawa County, but it really is right here that we're going to be seeing intense damage on the ground. And again, the Grand Haven Skycam just behind me here You can see some of the lightning, some of the wind. So we'll be watching this closely. Muskegon Heights also seeing decent amount of winds, and there's also the hail threat. So we've been watching some of these spots within the storm for golf ball size hail in addition to the winds. And wind-driven hail can not just dent your car, it can also, roll through windows. So this is a pretty serious storm. All day today, we've been saying, wow, this feels like an Oklahoma setup. This doesn't feel like something we typically see in West Michigan. So we are really seeing storms that typically form in the plains will right here into West Michigan. Right now, it looks like the wind is still holding strong to me.
Yeah. Real quick, Ellen, if I could, take us to the southern part of this line, just because we talked about it a few minutes ago. We were concerned about rotation potential offshore of Allegan County. We have that main, we have a cell that's really trying to get its act together right here. I'm encouraged by the lack of rotation at the moment, still capable of producing very large hail, I think, in here. If you're in Holland, I think you've got to start preparing for large hail. But this cell down here to the northeast of South Haven has that little hook to it. And as we look at the rotation tracker, there is some present. Not strong yet, but it's something we're going to have to watch. And anytime you can get a cell that develops out ahead of the line, of course, there is an increased tornado concern. So I think that's what we're going to have to watch on the southern part of this line. If you're in Van Buren, if you're in Allegan counties, you haven't seen much yet. And if you're in Van Buren County, you've still got a ways to go. But Allegan County, we have not only this first batch that's rolling through, but then the line is going to hit after that. And this could be a 1-2 punch for parts of Allegan County. Meantime, as Ellen's been tracking, the leading edge of that wind is just reaching the lake shore. It's moving very quickly, and it looks like it's almost taking more of an easterly path now. It was moving east-northeast. Now it looks like it's moving almost due east.
Looks like we do have some outages just south of Norton Shores starting to come in. One that may include the Muskegon County Airport, up to 1,000 there. We also have one that's coming in the Grand Haven area. Now, sometimes these kind of pepper on in. You can see the consumer's map currently. And again, nothing too widespread yet. However, we often see these fill in quite a bit. So power outages usually the first indicator to us and the first real tool that we have on the ground to show us where the outages are. I mean, the fast winds slamming Ferrysburg and Grand Haven as we speak. So I'm still seeing samples of 90-mile-per-hour wind just offshore of Grand Haven moving into the Ferrysburg area.
Yeah, we're getting word from the Weather Service that we may have a downstream warning coming for parts of Kent and Newaygo County, severe thunderstorm warning, which obviously makes sense given the winds that are ongoing. And just, I mean, this may just be the fact that we're now in coverage, but it seems like this line is really picking up steam now as it continues to march eastward.
The cell north of Lee that you were talking about too, Blake, continues to exhibit some weak rotation and a lot of lightning, which means it's a healthy individual cell. So we'll be watching that as it lifts through Allegan County and collides with the main line. Sometimes collisions can cause a weakening, sometimes it can cause a strengthening, but it's absolutely something that we need to watch closely. And that's not even talking about the winds that's back behind the line. So if we look at what's going on right now with the wind tracker, again, we got a lot going on here, but it's this bright green that we're most concerned about for damage on the ground. Just next to me, you can see the Grand Haven camera, and my goodness, it is shaking. I don't think I've seen the Grand Haven camera shake before. We've seen some of our other cameras shake when the winds hit like 40, but we've got wind-driven rain, potentially gusts near 80 miles per hour coming down from this storm and rolling into the Grand Haven area. It's really interesting. We always need scan by scan to tell us what the storm is doing, because this whole thing came on shore and then it looked like a portion of it split up into Ferrysburg. And now we're seeing that intense wind really roll into Grand Haven right on the shore. So Storm Track Live scanning the skies, showing us where that fast wind is aloft and likely mixing down to the surface. So again, our producers continue to let us know if you see anything with that outage map. Still seeing some rotation possible over Lake Michigan still. And this is for that cell that's still approaching the Holland area north of Douglas, in addition to the cell that's showing some rotation just down to the south. So if we expand the view just for a second here, Sarah, and we show reflectivity, in addition to this portion, so south of Muskegon and definitely into the northern portion of Ottawa County. We've got two cells. We've got one over Lake Michigan that's lifting up towards Holland. So Holland, you need to take this very seriously. Now the winds might already be gusting, but we could also start to see something take shape even more so right about here. And then here is the cell that Blake was mentioning. It's standalone. It's separate. It has nothing to contaminate the fields. So it's also lifting up through the central portion of Allegan County. So that cell too is one that we need to watch. Now right now you might say, I don't see it. I don't see the rotation. There are hints, and it can take just moments before we go from broad rotation to tight rotation on the ground.
There goes the new warning for Kent and Newaygo County, trying to see what part of Kent is included in this, but it is for 80-mile-per-hour winds, which means the sirens should begin to sound in Kent County, as I believe the criteria is 80-mile-per-hour winds.
Yeah, my phone buzzing, getting that special alert, emergency alert.
There it is, all of
Severe
Kent.
thunderstorm warning. Go ahead, sorry.
All of Kent and all of Newaygo County. This is for 80-mile-per-hour winds.
80-mile-per-hour winds. So Newaygo, Kent County, for this incoming line, 80-mile-per-hour winds expected. It is about halfway through Ottawa County, maybe a fourth of the way through Ottawa County, but it is tracking very quickly. So Newaygo County, Kent County, you might be wondering why your alert is flashing a different color. It's because this could be a significant wind damage event. Here's another look at outages here. We have a new outage in the Grand Haven area. 1,600 people that has just come in. And again, these usually trickle in. These trickle in, but they're the fastest real-time reports that we usually see here in the tracking center. And by no means do we want you guys to go outside for this. Not only is it dark and you won't be able to see anything, these storms are moving so quickly that it might be difficult for you to get back inside in time. So we don't want you to just go inside. We want you to go inside, get away from windows, go to that safe spot in your home, a bathroom, closet, great spot. And even for winds, we want you to do that. There's a reason why the tornado warning sirens might be sounding. 80-mile-per-hour winds is as strong as a tornado. And not only that, usually a tornado is a narrow strip. When we see winds like this, it impacts several communities. So a wind event sometimes is something that we almost need to take a little bit more seriously because the impact is so much more widespread. Sara putting some tracking arrival times for you. So for example, at Coopersville, arrival time 10 p.m., Ravenna 10 p.m. coming to you. Borculo 9:58. Right now, Ferry, Nunica, Sullivan. Places like Lake Michigan Ballpark, would not be surprised if we started to see this closer to about 10:30 or so. So the 131 region needs to take cover. Please do not be on the road for this. And please do not stop under an overpass. Not only is that selfish and it blocks people up from getting to their safe place, it's also making the winds more dangerous. Anytime the wind is funneling through a concrete structure, it actually intensifies the chance that you're going to experience damage. So don't do that. Just go inside. One saving grace that we have with the storm arrival time tonight is a lot of you are probably inside and staying safe, which we're very grateful for. So we're just really trying our best to figure out which portions of this storm. I don't really like this. I don't know if it's co-located with any velocity. No, it's not. Okay. Anytime we get little like kinks along this line, it just makes me stop for a second. Now, this is the cell that we are watching that had some rotation lifting through Allegan County. That doesn't look as defined in this current scan to me. Blake?
No, that's correct. It's definitely not as defined as it was, even looking at some of our radar tools over here. Still watching the potential for some rotation over Lake Michigan. This little guy is kind of stuck together for a little bit of time. I know the Weather Service is watching it. They said they're not particularly concerned about it right now, but that's something to watch, especially as it starts to move into Ottawa County.
I think it could present an increasing damaging wind threat as well. It seems like that might be what it's more transitioning to. There is just the smallest little notch in the line, at least in the wind of the line.
You're muted.
It's pretty subtle, but I think it's worth watching, especially based on what we had just over a month ago where we had these spin-up little tornadoes. This little notch, and it's hard to even pinpoint, but where you have the line kind of change angle right here just to the west of Ravenna, I think we'll have to watch that area. As of now, I don't see any significant indication that we have something on the ground, but this is entering an environment that could be favorable for quick spin-up tornadoes. We're getting a live look now over Holland where the lightning is nearly continuous. So if anything, the lightning is dangerous, but of course we're seeing damaging winds being produced by this thunderstorm. Just as a quick housekeeping note as well, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-per-hour winds in Berrien and Cass County. But right now, the most dangerous part of this line is where you see it bowing out across much of Muskegon County into the northern half of Ottawa, potentially shortly area in the southern half of Ottawa County as well. So this is a dangerous line that continues to progress, and we're going to have to watch this scan by scan to make sure that we're not getting spin-up tornadoes that develop at a moment's notice.
Ellen, do you want to do a quick reset? A lot of people's phones going off. We're getting a lot of messages on Facebook that they're hearing sirens, just to walk people through what we're dealing with.
Love that. Let's go ahead and do a reset. So we'll start wide here. Thank you guys for joining us. Right now, meteorologist Sara Flynn, meteorologist Blake Harms in the tracking center alongside me. Chief Meteorologist Ellen Bacca here. And we've been watching this line, gosh, all day. We've been watching for the potential for severe weather for several days, 6 days now for this night. And right now, we are seeing an intense line of storms make landfall and produce some damage. We're seeing a lot of power outages coming in the Muskegon area, potentially more coming in the Grand Haven area. Seeing a lot of alerts on your screen. Everyone in West Michigan is involved in a tornado watch until 3 a.m. That's for all hazards, damaging hail and especially damaging winds gusts. So while we're monitoring this line for the potential of a tornado, which is very possible tonight, we are already seeing destructive winds roll across West Michigan and potentially destructive winds into places like Kent County and Newaygo County. So the tornado warning right now is for Muskegon County, Newaygo County, northern Ottawa. This is for this Boeing segment that you see. Now, already we're seeing some winds coming in north of this line, but this is the part of the line that we're most concerned about. And the peak wind is just now rolling closer to I-96 as we speak. The radar is still sampling it close to 80 miles per hour. Now, as this continues to track inland, we have these two warnings. So these are for destructive severe thunderstorms. We have Newaygo County and everyone in Kent County included. What this means is winds of 80 miles per hour are possible with this line. And when we hit that threshold, a lot of times our tornado sirens sound. So if your phone went off, if you're hearing the sirens, doesn't necessarily mean there's a tornado coming your way, but it does mean that winds as strong as a tornado are being sampled and that it's moving close to where you live. So we need you to get to your safe place. Further down the line, Ottawa County included in a severe thunderstorm warning. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning for Allegan County and Van Buren County, monitoring for the potential of very large hail, golf ball size hail, especially with this portion of the line. Now, every single point along this line could produce a tornado. In fact, our wind speeds at the surface coming in out of the southeast, which creates low level spin. I mean, these storms are coming this way. The wind is coming in this way at the surface. So that's perfect to create a spin environment. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing you who's seeing damage now, who's likely going to be seeing damage in the near short term, and where tornado potential is possible. Blake and Sara, what are you noticing right now?
Sara, there's one little area of rotation that I think it's rotation that's about to move on shore just to the west of Holland, and it's this little area right here, and I can't tell if it's radar contamination, but it has been the area that we've been watching. There's this little area right here that would be coming in on the north side of Holland, near Port Shelton Township, south side of Port Shelton Township. If anything, I think it has a potential. It's still there. And Ellen, you may have to help me out. Tell me if this is just radar noise or if you think this is capable of potentially being rotation. Where we see the reds and greens meet, that's where we have winds flowing toward and away from the radar. And this area right here, just offshore of Holland, is suggesting that that might be what's going on here. Now, if we look at the rotation tracker, you can see there is a signature there that's being presented, a little bullseye. And if we look at the radar presentation of this, it's kind of in the middle of this. So if there were to be anything, it would not be visible because of all the heavy rain that's ongoing. But I think this has the potential to turn into something here in the next few minutes. And again, it's hard to tell exactly what's taking place. It looks like there might be a little bit of radar kind of tripping up on itself, but there might be rotation there. That's just something that I've been watching here over the last few minutes.
Yeah, keep an eye on it.
Some rotation. It's gone in and out over the last couple of scans, so it hasn't been very consistent. I know a few moments ago the Weather Service said they were keeping an eye on it. There is the potential that it can kind of hold together as it moves into Ottawa County. So we'll watch it. For now, I would agree, though, the top threat is going to be those damaging wind gusts.
Yeah, I think you're right to see that it's in the middle of the cell, so sometimes that kind of lessens the likelihood just a touch, but not completely. So I think that's a smart call. Blake, do us a favor, keep an eye on that one especially.
Yeah,
and just
we're just getting a report, excuse me, of Muskegon of 61 knots. Which would be 70 miles per hour.
Yeah, so. And if we look at the outage report, which you'll notice that the tornado warning has been trimmed back. So now Muskegon, Grand Haven, a lot of lightning, but the wind threat is minimized just a bit. This is now for the Sullivan area, Moreland, Ravenna. Probably just starting to feel the winds. It could get even more powerful here within the next 2 minutes. Here's a look at some of the consumer energy reports. Right now, many of them look to me like they're on the north side of Grand Haven into the Ferrysburg area, but we do have a few that are just south of I-96 and just to the southwest of Coopersville. So again, waiting to see some confirmation. We also have our intern Cole. He's a CMU meteorology student. He's graduating soon. He's looking at some of our Facebook comments. So if you've lost power, but you're on your phone potentially in your safe spot, feel free to ask him a question. He will do his best to convey some of those questions to us if the time is appropriate, but he's a great resource for us. So seeing that outages are possible, seeing that we saw a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust in Muskegon, that wasn't even where we saw the peak winds in our velocity data. Velocity data looks like it's going to continue to barrel through Ravenna and then move towards Casnovia, move towards northern Kent County especially, and then portions of Newaygo County. So if you're on the north side of Newaygo County, a lot of lightning, potentially some wind, but it's right about here that we're worrying for that really intense winds. And then this
tornado warning for Allegan and Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
Issue it.
And then the warning for Ottawa, Muskegon, Oceana has been upgraded to 80-mile-per-hour winds as well.
You said can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Ottawa County got upgraded to that destructive tag, and there's also a tornado warning for southern Ottawa County and northern Allegan County.
There it is.
And moving speed.
And that's for that area that we were watching that rotation.
Moving on shore right now.
Okay, and this is moving at about 40 miles per hour according to National Weather Service, so we can verify that. But right about here, this is rolling right into the Holland area. And again, a lot of really intense winds in addition to this. But whenever we have a circulation like this, especially in a day like today, where you have that surface inflow that's so warm and could potentially help to trigger even more of that surface circulation, we have to watch it very closely. So. Go ahead.
Oh, just a quick note. We were going to reset with Brian and Amber. Guys, we'll come to you in just a little bit, but because this new tornado warning has been issued, the sirens are going to start to sound for southern Ottawa County, including Holland, Zeeland, Hudsonville, Jenison, Jamestown Township, north side of Hamilton, Saugatuck, and it was that area we were watching. And you're not going to be able to see it. You are definitely not going to be able to see it if there is something, and it looks like if there is going to be a tornado, it's going to be in this mess right here that is just about to move on shore. I think that's very close to Holland State Park.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Goodness, Adriana is there. So Adriana, if you can hear us, if you're dialed in, please take cover. Please take cover now. I think you're at the fire station, so they'll know what to do. Those are good guys there. But we need to continue to watch every portion of this line, not only for the intense winds, but the circulation. Blake, Sarah, keep looking at that Holland cell. Over ISIL, I would prepare if I were you. Looks like the intense wind is headed towards you. Hudsonville, Zeeland, fast wind has not hit you yet, but it's getting closer and closer. So we've chosen to just show the radar full screen for just a moment so you can see where the potential tornado action could be. And again, it's right offshore, headed towards Holland State Park. Likely cutting on the north side of the city of Holland if it's able to hold its strength together. Something that I'm seeing is it looks like the couplet is decently tight at the surface, especially right along the lake shore. So we are going to have to watch that one carefully. As it rolls on shore again, you're just dealing with a whole different set of atmospheric dynamics. So you got to see how that surface wind comes into play now that it's off of Lake Michigan. It's one of these things that literally no one else has to deal with except for those folks that are in West Michigan, the big lake.
Hearing from my parents who brought the cats downstairs. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for doing that. This is definitely... just the thing is, they're so loud, you're not going to be able to hear anything that's coming. There's so much lightning, so much thunder with this, very heavy rain that if we do have a rain-wrapped tornado embedded within this, you're not going to be able to see it or probably hear it until it's pretty much on your doorstep. And again, it's just hard because, you know, all of us here at Storm Team 8 have looked at so many radar signatures before and tried to pinpoint tornadoes, but the radar looks kind of messy. So we think we have the area where it would be occurring, but it's hard to pinpoint, and as of now, we do not have ground confirmation of this. This is a radar-indicated tornado warning at this time.
I will say the latest scans, even coming in on our radar that we have a little bit more information on, is less. There it goes, updating again. We're getting a new scan in there. That's what we're looking at for the potential rotation. It's not as strong as it once was, but definitely easily could still be a tornado on the ground. So take it seriously. Again, now really just past Holland State Park. This is north of Lake Macatawa, tracking towards areas eventually like Hudsonville, probably north of I-196 if it continues to take trajectory. And it's moving relatively quickly, so this isn't a cell that you want to take your time with getting to the basement. It's moving east at about 40 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I would even say it's taking slightly northeasterly trend with the latest scan. So
yes, and
again,
just hearing from Adriana and photographer Caden riding out the storm in a Holland bathroom. She says, I'm a little nervous. I'm in a bathroom with strangers. Power just went out. So grateful that they're doing the right thing. Before they left tonight, we said, make sure you stay safe. So as Sarah just showed you, rotation still looking pretty decent aloft. Seeing some power outages just where this cell came on shore. Adriana is our witness to that. As she feels a little bit more comfortable, we might do a phone call with her to see what she's experiencing, what she's heard. But right now, I would say Riley Street, Greenlee Street, Butternut Drive, this is about the location that we have to watch for some circulation. These are moving fairly quickly. I think this particular tornado warning for 40 miles per hour, but we've been seeing these storms speed up to 50. That's not a lot of time because they move much faster than you might think. So anyone on Riley Street, 136th Avenue, James Street, those are the folks that need to go find your safe place now. So our sirens sounding outside the station, sirens likely sounding portions of Allegan County, a good portion of Ottawa County do these tornado warnings. Yes. So just checking with my husband too. We live in the Walker area. It looks like Walker, maybe about 5-10 minutes. He said flashlights are ready. Piper's asleep. We're going to take her to the basement. So these are the type of things that I hope you see. Like Blake's taking it seriously along with his parents. Like Adriana is taking it seriously right now, riding it out in the bathroom with strangers as the power is going out. We hope that you will do the same because West Michigan has come through in the past. Like anytime we have a storm of this intensity, you guys always do the right thing. So watching this, Sarah's putting a track on it for us north at about 40 miles per hour. A lot of open area in some spots. Borculo, I would definitely get ready for this. Hudsonville, 1031. Jamestown, 1032. Georgetown Township, 1033. Jenison, 1037. That's the arrival time of the potential rotation, but you could even be hit with the wind sooner than that. Borculo, it's probably already pretty windy, so this line poses a lot of threats. Coopersville likely getting slammed with winds right now. We have some winds maximums that might be mixing down to the surface right along I-96 on the west side of Coopersville. Here's a 70 mile per hour sampled wind gust within the tornado warning for northern Ottawa County, Muskegon County, and my goodness, just so many portions of this line. This looks like, tell me what we're seeing. Adriana's shot. Okay, so this is Adriana's shot. Caden safely putting the camera up so you can see outside. Sheltering with multiple people, and you can see, gosh, flashes of lightning, the trees bending in the winds there. Glad you guys are staying safe. Goodness. So again, I'm really glad that it's kind of a catch-22, right? We don't want storms coming through at night because some people are sleeping. We want them to get the warnings, but also very grateful that so many of you are already in a safe spot or at home. So you can see some of the sky cams just next to me. And it really looks like intensity along this line and still really broad circulation here. Not seeing anything tight at the surface yet. And again, sometimes when it comes to rotation, we'll see a scan where it weakens, we'll see a scan where it tightens back up.
And it certainly did weaken, Ellen.
Yeah.
You'll notice we're not seeing those reds and greens kind of mixing together, which is a good sign, but it still is a good idea to shelter. We're seeing those wind speeds still come in as I'm sampling them anywhere from about 70 to 80 miles per hour. So that's still very dangerous, still something you're going to want to shelter for, but luckily it does not look like that rotation was able to hold together once it moved further into Ottawa County.
Not right now. It's dipped for now, which is good. I think this is probably transitioning into more of a straight line wind threat for southern Ottawa County as we have winds that are being picked up by the radar. Again, this is above the surface, but close to 70 to 75 miles per hour, which is capable of producing damage that's equivalent of a weak tornado. But that is good news that it seems like for now the rotation has not as tight as it was, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Not to say it couldn't retighten, but.
Broad circulation just south of Douglas offshore. In between Douglas and Ganges right now. And again, very broad, but just like we were watching with some of these other cells coming in off of Lake Michigan, just something to watch. You know, that one might have a hard time surviving though, because there's a lot of rain behind it. I have a feeling that the line is going to be closing in. We still do have some what's called discrete cells too that are in Allegan County and Van Buren County. Some of these will continue to have to watch. Anytime you have separate cells from the main line, they definitely need to be watched carefully, scan by scan, for possible rotation. Friends in Kalamazoo and Portage, just know that this line is coming towards you. The most intense wind looks to be on the north side of you currently, but I would also recommend getting into your safe spot just in case as this rolls through. I'm liking what I'm seeing here compared to when this was rolling on shore.
Fully agree. I've been sampling and sampling to see some of these wind speeds, and what you're seeing popping up near Ellen right now are just radar estimates. We haven't gotten a whole lot of official ground reports through our National Weather Service chat or from reports just coming in from those who have the technology to do so. So this is what we have as best right now. Earlier, even probably 5 to 10 minutes ago, we were getting samples about 70 to 80 miles per hour, and I'm struggling to find those. So that's a silver lining there. Hopefully this line continues to weaken as it moves inland. But again, keep in mind, we're still holding on to that destructive tag, which means they believe that it's capable of producing those winds at 80 miles per hour.
Looks like a new tornado warning, Mount Calm County, Newaygo.
Yes, that's
northern Kent as well.
Kent, yep.
And northern Kent. Okay, looks like that one is for Croton, Howard City, Sands Lake, Cedar Springs, Sparta. As Sarah was just mentioning, we're liking what we're seeing with the widespread winds.
Check out the correlation coefficient near Casnovia. Yep. You see, it might be something happening right there.
Yeah, that, and not to mention, it lines up with the radar reflectivity. So sometimes you have to watch for these little drops. Oh, it did a scan ago. Now it's out here.
Yep.
Okay, Casnovia, Kent City, this is a little batch that we need to be watching. Debris tracker is another tool that we use. Radar can see the size of particles in the sky, so it doesn't just look for raindrops. It also looks to see if there are any weird shapes, which is, of course, debris. Anyway, so looking at the debris tracker, you can see that we do have a little batch right here that we might be watching. But it's key that it lines up with reflectivity. So if you live in Casnovia, Kent City, very good idea that you're taking cover. Sparta, Cedar Springs, Sand Lake, Pearson, Howard City, Croton. Still quite a bit of lightning with this. And we still have, gosh, 1, 2, 3 active tornado warnings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 severe thunderstorm warnings, not counting the ones that are in northern Indiana. So this line, very powerful, still tracking to the east. I do think you might have noticed it in Sarah, Blake, and my demeanor. We're kind of like, oh, okay, that tornado in Holland's potentially dissipating. So that is a really good sign. But this line is still tracking east fairly quickly, close to about, I would say, maybe 40, 45 miles per hour.
Yeah, right around 50. They issued it for moving east at 50 miles per hour. So yeah, we can draw a track on that for those who are just coming in now. I know this looks quite busy. And Ellen, you mentioned that there's a lot of warnings overlapping. There's a lot of different colors popping up here. A lot of people under a severe thunderstorm warning with that destructive tag. So wind is the top threat. You mentioned with the tornado warnings, those are still in effect. I'm not seeing a whole lot of rotation or little notches in this line. Each scan, though, tries to pose a different one. This one further off to the south has been an area to watch. Holland mostly in the clear right now. It's not showing up wonderfully, but there was little notches here and there with some of the last scans, so we'll keep an eye on that. But all in all for now, tornado threat looks relatively low on our end.
I think this might be a good time to reset with Brian and Amber. So Brian and Amber, if you guys are in the studio, we'd love to see what you're seeing, maybe if you've been talking to reporters in the fields.
Yeah, let's take a quick look here as we continue to have multiple warnings in effect. We have the one for southern Ottawa. I know a lot of folks have gone to the basement. I've heard from many of you. Sirens sounding in Hudsonville, Jenison, over toward the west side of Granville. Thankfully, it looks like the tornado threat is lessened for now. Where you see the brighter shades of green right in here, that's where we could have winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour, but we're not seeing the tight area of rotation, which is an encouraging sign for us. And that means that for now, the tornado threat seems to have lessened. For now, they're hanging on to the tornado warning, which, given how fast things are developing, that's probably a good idea to hang on to. If we have a moment, Brian and Amber, is there anything that you guys are hearing? What are you getting reports of as this line moves its way toward Grand Rapids?
Hey, Blake, yeah, well, I'm looking at Consumers Energy outage map right now. Just over 26,000 customers right now affected in this storm.
Yeah, I think the good news, Blake, is that we're not hearing a lot. As Sarah indicated, yeah, the radar is very busy. There's a lot of activity. The warnings, you have been doing an excellent job forecasting the system as it's coming in. But outside of the power outages that we see there with that map. Not hearing anything about damage or anything like that, roads closed, but we're watching this as this has just started to move on shore.
Thank you, Brian and Amber. Incredibly helpful. Thank you for keeping an eye on that for us. Getting a few more wind reports in. It looks like the Grand Haven Mesonet reported a gust of 70 miles per hour as well. So we are seeing some 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts confirmed by sensors on the ground. I'm going to take a moment here just to do a reset, because if you look at the map, there is a lot going on. Here is the wide view of Storm Track Live. We have a powerful line of storms moving through the area as we speak. Some parts of the lakeshore, like Muskegon, up through the Ludington area, currently seeing the risk lowered in Montague, but this line is still barreling eastward, close to about 50 miles per hour, and we have several warnings attached to it. So we're going to be putting a track on this line and moving it out to the east to show you some communities and when it might arrive. Alpine Township rolling in now, Watervliet 1018, Cooked Lake 1018, Grandville 1019, the Ballpark close to 1020, Wyoming 1021, Belmont 1022. That's the leading edge of the rain and the lightning. We've been noticing that the wind is located just a bit behind the rain. So it might seem a little counterintuitive. You know, the rain comes in, you expect that big burst of wind, might be on a delay a bit. Let's talk about the warnings that we're seeing right now. You can see we have several different flashing warnings that the National Weather Service has chosen to continue with because these storms are dangerous. We have one that's on the north side of Allegan County into Ottawa County. That's a tornado-warned storm. We had circulation that was rolling on shore. We're going to continue holding on to the tornado warning just in case circulation pops back up, and at the very least, winds to 70 miles per hour. You'll also notice portions of Ottawa County, Kent County, up through Newaygo, flashing that tan color, meaning winds upwards of 70 miles per hour still possible as this line moves through. So we have active warnings. No matter where you are in West Michigan, just know that winds could gust near 70 miles per hour, which is as strong as a weak tornado. You're looking at the airport right now, Kent County. This is the Gerald R. Ford International Airport. You can see a lot of lightning getting ready to move in. As we've mentioned, sometimes meteorologists will look at lightning to see the health and strength of storms. A lot of lightning means a robust storm. It means a strong storm, one that isn't slowing down. So we have, again, several tornado warnings that are out ahead. One tornado warning that's on the north side of Kent County for some of the most intense wind possibilities. I'm sure a lot of you are hearing the sirens go. This is a great time, no matter where you live, to go into your safe place. Do not stay in a car, do not drive. Just go inside, find somewhere that has close walls like a bathroom or a closet, and hang out there for like 45 minutes at most. This is a fast moving line. By the time we get to midnight, skies could not just stop raining, but completely clear. So all along this line, we've been watching for little notches to form. And occasionally when one looks concerning, we get that additional tornado warning. That was the case in the Holland area, and we are seeing power outages reports in the Holland area. In fact, seeing at least 1,000 outage just near the north side of Lake Macatawa stretching upward. Yeah. So this is a really good ground truth report that we have been seeing outages at the very least. Again, we have weather sensors that are picking up how fast the wind is at the surface. We saw a gust to 70 in Muskegon, a gust to 70 by one of those automated sensors in the Grand Haven area, just to name a few. So as this line continues to move, we expect that we're going to continue to see fast winds as high as 70 miles per hour, but as Blake and Sara have been saying, looks like the current sampling of some of those velocities closer to about the 60 mile per hour range, which is a very good thing for us. So we're going to continue to monitor this scan by scan for those spin up tornadoes and for potential wind gusts. Sara putting on some radar estimates. So some of the fastest we're seeing near 60 still, but others coming in closer to 50 miles per hour. You're looking at Boatworks. So this is Lake Macatawa, still storming there substantially.
Just a quick note, Ellen, as we continue to hear these tornado sirens, all of southern Ottawa, northern Allegan County is seeing very heavy rain, torrential rainfall, and you know, it looks very menacing. I want to go to the rotation track here, and it looks really busy, but I want you to look at this part of the rotation right here. And this is what prompted the tornado warning. All these reds, that's where we had consistent, persistent rotation as it moved into Holland. Notice what's happened after that. We haven't seen as much red. We've seen more green, and it's been dissipating. What that means is that the main area of rotation that was within this storm has let up. And I think the tornado threat as of now is low within that tornado warning for southern Ottawa and northern Allegan. Now, if you're in Grand Rapids, if you're in Granville, if you're in Byron Center, Kentwood, Wyoming, you're about to get a push of some wind and very heavy rain, potentially some hail as well. But as of now, the tornado threat appears to be on the low end for the tornado warning itself. Of course, we continue to watch this other tornado warning that is in effect for parts of Newaygo, northern Kent, and Montcalm counties. Liking what we're seeing right now, but again, even without the damaging winds, even without the large hail, even without the tornadoes, this is still capable of producing damaging lightning, a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning taking place with these storms, and certainly some strong gusts of wind. So it's a good idea to continue to take these storms seriously, and they could just as quickly start producing winds on the strong end again.
And Blake, remind us which radio stations are currently simulcasting our coverage in case someone's like, I don't have a TV downstairs.
Yes, yep. If you're sheltering downstairs or if you're about to head that way in Kent County, we have 104.5 WSNX, Star 105.7, Wood Radio 105.9 FM, and B93.7. Thankful to those stations for simulcasting our coverage as these tornado warnings have been in effect. So if you're not able to be near a TV in your safe spot, you can listen to us on the radio or stream us there as well.
Good.
I do notice a lot of people saying the sirens are sounding, the sirens are sounding. We do have those tornado warnings in effect that may be triggering those, but also keep in mind where you see that peach kind of tan color flashing, those are severe thunderstorm warnings, but they have a destructive tag and sirens will sound for that. So that's why you're hearing those. Regardless, whenever you hear the sirens, getting to a safe space, getting to that shelter, lowest level of your home is going to be the smart thing to do. Luckily, I will say, Ellen, I do think this line is weakening a little bit, so hopefully that's a positive trend as it continues to track to our counties and our friends off to the east.
Yeah, love that sign. That's what we were kind of hoping for, that this would come in and we could see, you know, maybe some pockets of damage, because that tends to happen when it's this intense. But hopefully we can see this line clear with nothing more than hopefully some power outages. Still, a lot of warnings out there, and you can see our whole team is watching this. Not only Blake, Sara in the tracking center now with me, but we have Scott and Matt coming in very early to keep an eye on things and to survey some damage. So if we look at Storm Track Live, you can almost see how this portion of the line is bowing out, and that was driven by the fast winds. So we've got a little bit of a lag here. You'll notice that we still have a pretty powerful portion of the storm, tons of lightning over the central portion of South Haven, and then dipping down into Berrien County and Benton Harbor. This is going to be moving into Van Buren County, Van Buren, Allegan under severe thunderstorm warning now. Some winds gusting to 60, definitely possible. Still monitoring for the potential of hail, but I'm not seeing as many hail spikes in this line as we saw when some of the storms were forming in Wisconsin. And Blake, Sara, if you see anything, please just let me know. Portage, Kalamazoo, I would say showers and storms probably getting closer to you, but not looking as intense. We'll have to see if the National Weather Service continues the warning there. And Grand Rapids downtown, probably seeing some lightning flashing on our downtown camps. This is going to be impacting Kentwood, Byron Center, Wyoming, Cutlerville, just now rolling through the Walker area, Grandsville, rain beginning to start here soon, and likely going to be seeing the fast wind following close behind. Ada, Rockford, Forest Hills, Grattan, everybody here at Caledonia, you need to get inside. Again, I'm sure you are, but make sure you're getting to the best safe spot. Still seeing some of these weird, ragged, leading eddies along the line, and that's what we're going to have to monitor scan by scan. For example, you can see just this divot here south of Hudsonville. It's nothing right now, but I mean, scan by scan, it really could tighten up. So is that the same? No, that's not. I was going to say, is that the same portion of the storm that went through Holland? But I think that's further to the south.
It is further off to the south. The one that went to north of Holland, over Hudsonville right now, which is sampling some decent winds. But the few reports that we've gotten in, Ellen, lately with those winds have been more in the range of about 55 to 65 miles per hour. So sub that destructive 80 mile per hour tag. Grand Haven reporting a gust of 68, Saugatuck 67, a new one coming in from Spring Lake Yacht Club at 59 miles per hour. So a little bit less than maybe in initially as it was pushing off the lake. Another silver lining there, but again, still holding on to all of those warnings because those winds certainly high to be embedded in those storms.
Definitely, and we got a lot of leaves on the trees right now, so the trees are heavy. Sometimes when that happens, they can just get blown over a little bit more than usual. So there's always a lot of factors, right? It's not just the wind, it's where it hits. Is it going to be hitting a high impact area, big community where there's a lot of structures? Is it going to be hitting forests where we don't see as many impact reports right away? And then we also have to keep in mind all the different factors, like as this line progresses, is it going to be rolling into better inflow? So every scan very important here. And again, there was that little notch just on the south side of Holland, not Holland, excuse me, south side. It's like riding the Allegan, Ottawa county line, but it still looks pretty broad. South of Hudsonville, that burst of wind. Actually, Blake, Hudsonville, your parents probably have to be getting ready for winds at least 60.
Yeah, the good news is the tornado threat looks to have diminished. I have a lot of friends who are sheltering in Hudsonville and Jenison, telling me the sirens have been blaring, and again, you can still see some wind signature, especially right here along I-196 near the Byron Road exit of about 70 miles per hour still possible. But the fact that we're not seeing any major rotation is, of course, an encouraging sign. So prepare for severe winds, prepare for very heavy rain, lots of lightning. This is going to be noisy, but we're encouraged by what we see. If you're in Holland, if you're in Saugatuck, Douglas, it looks like the tornado threat has diminished for you. It has moved off to your east. Still seeing some heavy rain, but if we were to see any future rotation, I think it's with this cell merger that's taking place right in here. Nothing imminent right now, but this is the area I think we're going to have to watch over the next 10 minutes, just as you were talking about, Ellen, right along the Ottawa-Allegan County line. But thankful that as of now, we're not seeing anything major. We're not seeing anything major in terms of rotation in northern Kent and southern Newaygo right now either.
A silver lining too is we continue to see these thunderstorm warnings extended into Montcalm County, no longer with that destructive tag. So again, silver lining there, those wind speeds, those wind reports coming in near or sub 70 miles per hour. We'd need that 80 mile per hour tag in order to have that destructive tag. But a lot of lightning. I mean, look at all these strikes coming in simply with all these warnings.
Definitely checking. It sounded like you wanted to say something, Blake. I was just kind of looking at these storms near Berrien County too with the Indiana radar. A little bit of circulation here and there, so we're going to be watching those too. And that's with a different office. So National Weather Service, Northern Indiana will be watching those, and we'll continue to watch those for, again, circulation. But looks like some pretty potent winds headed towards Van Buren County, Paw Paw, Matawan, Lawton. So we'll continue to watch that as well. Were you going to say something, Blake?
I was just going to say, if we're able to take a camera of downtown Grand Rapids, that would be really helpful, as we're seeing a ton of lightning start to move into Kent County now. A lot of folks still hearing the sirens because the warning is still for 80 mile per hour winds. And I think that'd be a helpful visual as we see these the really strong lines moving into Kent County. Still dangerous storms, still capable of producing some strong wind gusts and a lot of lightning, very heavy rain. But as you've been talking about, Ellen, encouraged by the lack of any imminent tornado threat.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And as Blake was just mentioning, we likely will see our friends at the National Weather Service start to trim back these warnings. So if you live in places like Holland, Port Sheldon, Saugatuck, as the storm continues to clear you, you will be dropped from the warning, and then you can rest a little bit easier. But everybody else that lives out ahead of this line, so basically 131 and eastward, you need to be heading to your safe place. So we talked about this, the fact that these storms are going to be coming in towards the lakeshore and then tracking inland quickly. So it's happening sequentially. Everybody is going to be impacted by this, and we're just going to be seeing spotty damage. If you're tempted to go outside and look at damage now, I would recommend to maybe wait until daylight. I know that sometimes you want to see what's happening, what's going on, but even as the storms clear, oftentimes it's really hard to spot power lines, and we have had instances, reports on the news, where people run into a downed power line, and of course it does not end well. So again, just another safety note, after the storm passes, you need to kind of think of those secondary factors. Just wait until the morning. A lot of times the damage will, still be there. All right, if we look at Storm Track Live and also check the camera downtown, definitely seeing rain, definitely seeing flashes of lightning. This current view for Grand Rapids, lightning is still pretty ever present, but not nearly as intense as we saw it over Lake Michigan. But wow, lightning strike counter is still at 5,400, which is quite a bit, only sampling this area here. Earlier over the lakeshore, closer to about 7,000. So we have seen maybe the hail potential drop. Lightning is usually produced by hail crystals bouncing around. So any ice crystals, but usually when you have hail, you see more prevalent lightning. Not seeing a ton of hail making it to the ground or a ton of hail reports, but we are seeing a few bursts of reflectivity like this one south of Hudsonville. Oh, okay, this is helpful. Thank you, Sarah. So looking at the hail tracker, oh, we're hearing the rain outside our station right now. Looking at the hail tracker, we did have some swaths of hail roll through the Holland area, Hudsonville area, north of Rockford, some spotty signatures, but we're not seeing those like deep, probable, like purple to black colors, which is a good thing. We don't want to see that because earlier today we did see golf ball size hail over in Wisconsin. So that was a possibility for us today. So our producers are in the booth. We have our whole team here, by the way. We've got reporters out in the field staying safe. We have our managers that stayed late just to make sure that our coverage was organized, because the bottom line, like, we just want to be as clear as possible, to never hype anything, but to keep you safe moment by moment. So a lot of warnings still. Right now, downtown Grand Rapids seeing the brunt of the storm. And then, Sarah, if we could turn on velocity, just wondering what the wind speed is looking like in Grand Rapids itself, and then also that spot near Hudsonville.
Yeah, let's take those samples. Still coming in. I think the highest ones I've been sampling have been close to that 70 to 70 mile per hour range, so certainly still high. I do think that area near Hudsonville, stretching along 196, eventually tracking into western Kent County, like Granville area, potentially Kentwood towards Cutlerville, is the most dangerous spot where we're seeing some of those higher wind reports come in.
Looks like it's perking up a little bit in southern Ottawa County, and then we have a few spots in northern Allegan over toward Dorr as well that seem to be perking up.
Sarah, can you actually navigate down here just to help me see just a bit better? So this portion where you're sampling the 77 and then down into northern Allegan County, and every once in a while, like, that looks like a couplet to me.
It keeps going back and forth. It's like every other scan. We'll get another scan here in about probably 60 seconds, and we'll be able to have a better idea. I've been watching it as well. It's just back and forth, a little notch in that line. Certainly something to keep an eye out for, but those winds, again, that's the highest area that we're seeing for sure.
Gotcha. And again, we're going to continue to watch these little notches, but 77 mile per hour winds with confirmation that earlier this evening, 70 mile per hour winds did make it to the surface. That's something that you really want to take seriously on the south side of Hudsonville. That little area of rotation that we might need to watch here, that's moving on the north side of Dorr. So it's lifting northeast, and it's going to be between Dorr and Byron Center. So Byron Center, I know that you're not officially in a tornado warning, although you're probably hearing the sirens already. Dorr, I would just take that one especially seriously, because that one, again, could produce something. Regardless, Hudsonville, looks like that heavy wind is coming down. Yes, right about here. So again, no confirmation. I'm not even sure if our friends at the National Weather Service have spotted it as a potential batch, but that's something that I'm a little concerned about, in addition to some.
We did get another severe thunderstorm warning. Don't want to leave our friends out to the south. That now extends into Kalamazoo County. Oh, it's a tornado
warning. That might be for what you were just talking about, Ellen.
Okay.
Let's see. Yep, sure enough. Southern Kent County.
All right, Southern Kent County, new tornado warning. This is for a cell that we were just watching. This is the one that's lifting between Dorr and Byron Center. So we've been seeing some circulation, and again, yes, right about there.
Great catch, Ellen.
You know, so grateful for you guys. Just tricky to see it all sometimes. So when we have a team of three, it's a lot easier. This is going to be moving over to a populated area north of Dorr. It's lifting northeast, and gosh, that next scan.
This is the strongest rotation tracker signature that we've had so far.
Okay.
I think with this one.
Yeah, the thunderstorm capable of producing tornadoes 7 miles northwest of Wayland, 15 miles south of Grand Rapids, northeast. It's a northeasterly trend rather than that easterly trend this line has been taking, 45 miles per hour. So moving quickly here. If you're in this warning, get in your safe spot quickly.
Northeast, you said 45 miles per hour?
It is for that area of rotation just north of Wayland. It's that little notch right there, I think, north of Wayland that they've decided to warn on.
Help me out, Sarah, if you can draw a circle with this double box. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see.
Here, Blake, correct?
Yeah, 15 miles south of Grand Rapids puts it
Yeah.
at that center of circulation. But we could also, I think there are several areas that could potentially produce a tornado right
Yeah,
The scan's coming in a little less, but
Right.
certainly, yeah.
That's the thing. This is the Gun Lake Skycam that you're seeing. In addition to radar here, we're keeping a wind tracker so you can see the circulation. This is one of those moments where we really want to monitor it scan by scan.
We may have a debris signature over door. We're hearing that from the Weather Service. There's something there.
Okay,
There's a
there
little
is a
blip.
wind burst
Yep,
there.
there it is, yep.
Yep, okay.
Hard to tell. Yeah, the fact that it's just
Gosh,
popped
it's
up.
so muddy. I would just say, please take this one seriously. This is near the door area. Again, circulation right about here, door. This is moving towards 16th Street. If this is, in fact, debris that was lofted, this could pulse back down as well. So upstream, go ahead.
I was going to say, typically,
Moline.
you'd want to see several scans of like a
Yeah.
blue shade for it to be a tornado on the ground, but this could be potentially a downdraft, picking up a bunch of trees and debris and lofting it up, or it could obviously be a tornado as well. I think both are a possibility right now.
Definitely. And, you know, sometimes it's not always clear cut. Like, oftentimes as humans, we want it to be like one or the other. But sometimes you can get these spin ups, like as Blake was just mentioning, with a really powerful rear flank downdraft, and that can kick up leaves and debris into the sky. Regardless, it looks like that wind sampled over the door area at least 60 miles per hour, if not closer to 70, 75. And that cell, this portion of the line that we're watching, is going to continue to lift northeast. So we're talking south side of Kent County. This is moving towards the Caledonia area. And really anywhere in Kent County, you still need to be taking cover because we have that huge wind burst that is just crossing Hudsonville, Ottawa County, and approaching spots like Wyoming, just on the south side of Grantsville. Big wind burst there.
Yeah, it seems like it's definitely perking up.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not what we like. So again,
We have several major outages in southern Ottawa County. Almost all of Jamestown Township is without power, as well as the Drenth area over toward Beaver Dam, the east side of Zeeland. So that indicates that we do indeed have very strong winds. Oh, that was a loud thunder.
Yeah.
Very strong wind that is ongoing with the straight line portion. In addition to that, we have spin-ups that are potentially ongoing. This is a pretty dangerous situation, once again, I think, for northern Allegan and southern Kent counties right now.
yeah, Benton Harbor also just coming in with a wind report of 72.5 miles per hour. So getting confirmation that anywhere along this line, we're seeing winds gusting to 70 miles per hour frequently within different zones. So it really does not matter where you live. This is a line of storms that needs to be taken seriously by literally everyone. So as we continue to watch this line, of course, that little notch that we are watching towards the door area north of Wayland, in addition to the bursts of wind, especially through Kent County, this is a really populated area. So as we were talking about just a few moments ago, it's not just that a tornado or a wind event happens, it's what is it running into? Is it just forest or is it homes? So that's why when we're seeing rotation like this, especially moving over something like 131, we really want to take it scan by scan and look at the streets that it's crossing over. Again, should be moving over 131. Still maybe.
It's still holding on. It's less than it was 2 scans ago, but it's still holding on to some sort of potential debris coming along with it. No confirmation that we've had sightings of this tornado on the ground, but treat it as such.
Just for our booth's sake, for our producer, we have a tornado warning in effect for southern Kent County. Parts of Kent, Allegan, Barry County are included in this tornado warning, and the threat is now shifting out of Ottawa County. We have the potential for both damaging wind in southern Kent County as well as a possible ongoing tornado that is right along the Kent-Allegan County line.
Sarah, can we take this back a couple scans? I don't
Yes.
know if you're able to. And we can even turn sometimes the radar onto like 5-minute increments.
Yep.
Okay.
Try to take it down
so
to 1.
yeah,
There
we
go.
do have a bit of a history. We will, I mean, that looks a little bit tighter. Okay. Gosh, and I mean, after dark, sometimes it can be a little scarier too, knowing that there may be a tornado on the ground and it's after dark. So that's why we're saying, please get ready ahead of time, head to your safe place, go inside, lowest level, go to a room that has no windows, close walls, so like a closet or a bathroom is best. And we'll continue to track where that particular portion of the line is going. Great job, Sarah. So if we could zoom in on 131, this is likely crossing 131 close to Division Street, 14th Street, let's see, 142nd Avenue. Potentially a tornado here. Not a strong enough signature for us yet to say tornado confirmed. And if we do get a tornado confirmed by debris, we're going to get a little bit of a change in the warning. So it's going to turn purple. So that's a great way to show that it is radar confirmed. Right now, it is radar suspected potential tornado here. This eventually will be lifting towards the Caledonia area. Looks like it just crossed 131. It's now on the southeast side of the Grand Rapids area, getting ready to cross 9th Street, 6th Street, East Paris Avenue. And this is moving at about 45 miles per hour. So the entire line at times moving at 50. But initially when this warning was issued, it was for this portion of it, this rotation, moving at about 45 miles per hour to the northeast. So some arrival times: Caledonia 1050, Alaska 1055, right around the Lowell area, right around 1108. So just keep this in mind. Those are the arrival times that we're watching. Notice that the tracker goes out in a wedge. It's because sometimes the location of circulation wobbles. So we want to make sure to include places that could be impacted as this continues. Okay, so this
that
is
latest
velocity.
scan, that latest scan
good.
is considerably better.
Yeah,
There's
that
no more
looks
debris
really
signature
Just
coming up.
go down by Martin if you will. It looks like we may have a new one forming down Allegan County.
Here we go. Oh, okay, here we go. Yep.
Yeah.
Just by Martin, and let's see. Just from what I'm seeing on my velocity projector on the rotation tracker, it looks like we may have a new area there. It's been there for a few scans as well.
Okay. Good catch.
The things are developing so quickly. Actually, Sarah, if you can go a little further south. They're right there.
There you go. Okay.
Yes. So also the Paw Paw Lawton area is something I'm just kind of seeing. We'll just have to keep an eye on that. But yes, definitely agree. Watson right now, a little bit of a tightening there. This is rolling right towards Martin. So this is the latest potentially small, quick tornado that we could see touching down. This one in Allegan County. It's still on the west side of 131. Right now, it's just on the south side of Watson. The couplet actually looks fairly defined to me, and it's lifting towards Martin. So Watson, Martin.
That's a pretty strong signature.
Yeah, that is.
Weather Service says they're looking at it right now. Would not be surprised if this gets a tornado warning very soon.
So help me out. This is North 16th Street,
16th,
potentially seeing a tornado.
About to cross over 131.
On the ground even.
I think it might be.
Yeah, this scan is about a minute old. I would say it's over 131 at this point.
So likely moving over 131. You can see the camera again flashing.
Yeah, there's a tornado warning.
There it goes.
Tornado warning for this cell. This is for Allegan County. It's moving just on the south side of Watson. It's moving into the Martin area. We'll get a moment here to see how fast it's tracking.
It's moving at 45 to the east. Maybe a northeast trend, though, based on how we've kind of seen some things over.
Okay, so this is headed towards Orangeville, Gun Lake. And as we mentioned, like, we're treating each one of these scan by scan because they can form and fizzle, or like this, they can form and get stronger. So this signature is the strongest I think we've seen so far tonight.
Yep.
And you can see not only is there the broad loop rotation, you've got the colors very close together. So this shows us that rotation is likely on the ground right about here. This is going to track east, potentially lifting northeast towards the Martin area. So 131, if you're listening to us on the radio and you're driving in the 131 area, this is your cue to get off the highway now. Do not stop in an overpass. Make sure to get to a concrete structure. This is going to continue to track due east towards the Martin area, and you can tell that we're just waiting here for the next scan. Martin 1046 for an arrival time, Orangeville 1055, Gun Lake 1056, Irving 1107, Hastings 1112. And again, once we get to that point in the evening, so still close to about 30 minutes out, the situation may have changed. But at least in the short term here, as this crosses over 131 into the Martin area, you absolutely need to take cover now.
You know what's interesting, Ellen, is just looking at the meso-analysis here, looking at the ingredients. The most favorable area for tornadoes right now is between Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo corridor, and that's exactly where we're starting to see some of these spin-ups as they've moved away from Lake Michigan, are now potentially entering a more favorable environment, and I think that's why we're starting to see some of these spin-ups developing.
I totally agree. And it's unfortunate. I was encouraged when I saw the line weakening, even though we still had a ways to go, but that surface circulation still looking like south side of Watson. This is tightening even more so. We could have a strong tornado, potentially even closer to 100-mile-per-hour winds. At least I'm sampling in the velocity data and that tight core. Is this
there's a big, it's over Martin.
So
it's over Martin right now.
Tornado on the grounds. We're likely going to see our warning change. This looks like confirmation of a tornado on the north side of Martin. Sarah, if you could zoom in on Martin, especially just to the northeast. Okay, so this is Allegan Street. You need to take cover now. North side of Martin, very likely tornado on the ground. We're seeing debris, which means damage being wafted into the sky. And as we mentioned, tonight's one of those nights where a quick spin up could become a strong tornado very quickly. So that is potentially what we're seeing in Martin. Debris has been picked up by the radar, sampled at higher levels. This is the north side of Martin, north side of Allegan Street. It's moving east, so this is headed towards 6th Street, 5th Street, 4th Street. Please take cover. Please go to your safe spot. 116th Avenue, 119th Avenue. If I'm saying your street name, you need to be taking cover now.
This is just north of Martin High School. This looks like it just crossed Arena's Pizza Martin in Martin, Dollar General, Postal Service. Looks like the debris ball is just north of there. This is moving toward Van Elderen, just north of there. Just trying to name off some businesses here.
East Martin Cemetery needs to take cover. Well, if you live around that area, you need to take cover. East Martin Christian Reformed, Double Quarter Horses, B5 Ranch. All these areas definitely need to take cover as this tornado, which I'm surprised we haven't switched to a confirmed tornado warning.
I think they're working on it right now. We have so much going on right now. Weather Service also mentioning there might be a tornado threat developing once again over southern Kent County, but I think right now Martin is taking a potential direct hit from a tornado. So I think until we see a stronger signature up there, if you hear the sirens going off, good rule of thumb to just stay in your tornado spot right now, because I think this line is becoming increasingly favorable for tornadoes as we speak.
Blake, how does the Caledonia one look? Sorry, I'm focused in on this Martin debris signature. Has that weakened at all? I know that they're keeping an eye on it. I'm not sure. I know we were talking about that rotation that we were seeing towards Caledonia. Okay, there's no correlation coefficient or debris popping on it, which is a bit of a silver lining.
It's got that notch in it.
Yeah.
Pretty strong notch. So in the next few scans, we may see something start to develop near Caledonia. If you're in Caledonia,
all right, we're moving the debris signature a little bit, Ellen, if you want to focus in on this.
Yeah, definitely. So this is still the tornado that's likely on the ground here after dark. Lots of lightning in the Allegan County area. This has already crossed US 131, and this is moving towards places like Orangeville. So it's right now just crossing through Martin. Still a defined couplet, not quite as tight, close together, but would not be surprised if we're, so it's not quite as tight, but still ever present. So sometimes these pulse a bit, but this is going to be headed right towards the Orangeville area.
It is changed to a confirmed tornado.
It has?
Yep.
It's confirmed, yep.
Confirmed
radar
tornado
confirmed.
on the ground. There is a tornado on the ground doing damage.
Probably radar confirmation.
Yes, so not visual confirmation. Too dangerous to do that with our chasers anyway. But when we see debris high in the sky, there's only one way that can happen, and it's if a tornado is tearing things up and then lifting it and lofting it. So the debris has to be a certain size. It also has to get to a certain level of the atmosphere for us to get that confirmed tornado warning from radar. But this is as clear as it gets. We have a tornado that likely just rolled through the north side of Martin, doing damage, picking it up, lofting it into the air. The couplet is still present, so we still have rotation, and it's headed towards Orangeville. Latest scan looks a tiny bit weaker, but sometimes when we see strong tornadoes, they weaken for a bit, and then they come back together. As Blake just mentioned, the environment is still primed for tornado activity. So everyone in West Michigan likely hearing thunder and lightning. A lot of us winds as high as 70 miles per hour. But one of the reasons why we're focusing on the tornado threat right now is because confirmed tornado on the ground. Wind speeds, I would not be surprised, close to 100 miles per hour. So please, if you live in the 9 mile area, Orangeville, Rook Road over towards Lindsay Road, please take cover. Tornado doing damage, moving quickly east at about 45 miles per hour, headed towards you. So this isn't just radar confirmed. It's not just the spin in the clouds. It's actually doing damage on the ground. So Sarah, Blake, if you can, I don't know if we have some businesses in the Orangeville area that we might be getting close to here. Maybe.
Yeah, let me take a look.
Yeah, 9 Mile Road area. So we're talking the disc golf course, the Dollar General on 9th Street. Some of these
the fire
spots
department.
here, fire department, you need to make sure that if you live around those areas, you are going to the lowest level of your house, you're getting away from windows, and you're picking a room that doesn't have a lot in it, maybe a lot of close walls. So a closet or a bathroom, those are the best places to be. Yes, we want you to get your kids out of bed and go to the lowest level. Right now you're seeing the Kalamazoo cam behind me. So Kalamazoo getting rocked by winds, potentially wind as high as 50 miles per hour for Kalamazoo, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that Kalamazoo County, nope, they are under a severe thunderstorm warning. No. Sorry, with the debris, I did not see that issued, but that's for winds of 60 miles per hour. So now we're back with the Gun Lake cam. This is in the Martin area, Orangeville. You can see the lightning from the clouds just, gosh, prevalent, active. It shows that we have a really intense storm. And again, debris in the Martin area moving towards Orangeville, meaning a tornado on the ground in the Martin area moving towards Orangeville. Any update on that Caledonia circulation?
Just watching it, the rotation tracker has picked up significantly, but I can't fully tell if that's just the radar having a difficult time determining whether it's actual rotation. It looks like there might be something developing here on the east side of Caledonia. Yeah. I'm trying to look at where this is. Whitneyville and 92nd is the area I think that we've got to watch here, as we may have some sort of couplet trying to develop.
Actually, the latest scan right here, just on the east side of Caledonia, just tightened significantly.
And at the same time, the circulation over Orangeville looks to continue to broaden. So I'm not sure, I'm not convinced that tornado's still on the ground anymore. We're seeing typically it takes a few scans for the debris to finally reach the ground again.
Telltale sign will be if the debris ball starts to get more diffuse and fall apart. So Sara will be watching for that. And also, I do think that we might have our next tornado warning for that Caledonia cell that's spinning
There's something just east of Middleville as well. I can't tell if that's debris. It's not a terribly strong signature. I may check in with a few of my friends in Middleville. But there's something happening right there as well, at least according to the debris tracker.
And if you live anywhere else in West Michigan, we promise we're not trying to ignore you. It really does look like Kalamazoo right now getting winds to at least 40, if not some spots near 60. That includes Portage, Galesburg, South Gull Lake, Delton, just ahead of this tornado warning. You could also be seeing some gusts near 50 to 60.
Tornado debris signature east-northeast of Caledonia now.
Okay, so that is another, you said tornado debris signature?
According to the Weather Service, they're saying there is one.
This is the Caledonia cell, correct, Sara?
Yeah, it's lining up with the area of rotation.
Yes. Okay, so we have our second confirmed tornado likely on the ground. So we have a tight debris ball. That means a tornado has touched down. This is near the Caledonia area. It's likely just as it rolled through Caledonia and is now lifting to the northeast. So if you live on the east side of Caledonia, especially the northeast side of Caledonia, you need to be taking this one seriously. You've had a tornado warning for a while yet, right? So hopefully that was enough time for you to do the right thing, head to your safe spot. Even if you delayed, now's the time to go. As for Caledonia, this is starting to lift past you, but I would not be surprised if we saw some damage in the Caledonia area. This couplet with the Caledonia cell looks like it's tightening to me as well. Not quite as tight as the one that we just saw near Martin, but if we give it a few scans, we might see either a strengthening or weakening. So right now, Sara's zooming in on where the couplet likely is. This is 92nd Street. We also have Alaska Avenue. So if you live near 92nd Street, Alaska Avenue, just on the east side of Caledonia, maybe even up towards 76th Street, those are the folks that we want to take this one especially seriously and just note, so new scan, just track to the east, northeast.
Tornado.
So this is Morse Lake Avenue, 76th Street, and it looks like this particular rotation is lifting northeast. So we're gonna have to see if this holds on. This one too just looked like it went broad again, meaning a little bit weaker with the rotation. So gosh, we're just seeing these pulse up and then pulse back so quickly tonight, guys.
Yeah, just trying to play catch up here a little bit.
I don't love the look still of the rotation that's now east of Orangeville.
I agree.
Headed that direction. That one seems stronger than the one near Caledonia. I do think that the problem that we're seeing here is when we have these rotations embedded in a line of thunderstorms, it can be a quick spin up and then quickly lift. And so taking that seriously and just sheltering in place for the duration of the warning is going to be critical here.
Check this out near Middleville.
So we'll continue to watch that.
Watch this. You see this little blip starts to show up just past Middleville, and there's something still there. I think there's some noise happening there, but that does line up with, at least it did line up with, that may not be the case. There was some rotation there.
Yeah, there still is some rotation just on the northeast side of Orangeville, I think. I think you guys are right. Would not be surprised if it continues to strengthen there. And apologies, I was kind of distracted. We had some police sirens just outside, so I was wondering if maybe we're starting to see some damage reports here in Kent County. Just an item of note, Muskegon County, Ottawa County, it looks to me that the severe thunderstorm warnings have been dropped. as well as Newaygo County, and let's see, Mason County, as well as Oceana County. So if you live in Mason, Oceana, Muskegon, Ottawa, still potentially some breeziness, but the storms have stopped and it looks like the severe threat is over for you. Still some wind coming down in Allegan and Van Buren counties. So you still are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Right now, Kalamazoo County is still seeing some gusts near at least 60 miles per hour. This likely is going to be moving into Battle Creek. And then 2 tornado warnings, the one for the cell that we've been tracking starting near Watson and Martin, and now on the east side of Orangeville, lifting just to the south of Hastings, and then a second one up near Caledonia. So that's what we got going on now. Kent County, Ionia County, Mount Calm, all the way up through Isabella. Also need to watch for some strong wind gusts. Oh, great. So this is looking at Wind Tracker. We have the 2 potential tornadoes that we've been watching. Both of these have produced debris so damage from a tornado on the ground. Debris tracker still picking that we have some debris, but this one near Caledonia looks a little tighter. This one a little further south near Orangeville, probably still some circulation, but the debris is a little bit more diffuse. So if we look at where the debris is in Caledonia right now, you're also looking at the Gerald R. Ford airport cam behind me here. So much lightning, my goodness. The airport just north of the Caledonia area by, gosh, several miles. But this debris tracker lifting, looks like we just got a new scan. Yep, not the tightest ball, but still some broad rotation here.
Definitely less, so that's some improvement, but we'll watch it closely. The rotation, each of our scans, the storm's moving so quickly at about 45 to 50 miles per hour, so it's almost looking like it's jumping over town. So if you're a town over like Clarksville or portions of I-96, 64th Street trending towards Grand River Avenue, Bell Road, Hastings Road, this is the time to act like that rotation is over just because of the speed that it's moving. Definitely still some broad rotation that we'll watch there, but as far as the debris signatures, they have not been nearly as strong, and it's tough. This one's tough because it's near the radar. Yeah.
The one near Orangeville, I can't tell if the debris signature is picked back up in tandem with the area of rotation. Forgive me, I'm just trying to do a little investigative work here. Compare that to, it lines up pretty well to where the debris may still be being wafted in at least some capacity here.
And this is going to be tracking just south of Hastings. So Hastings, you guys are in a tornado warning, as well as Nashville. Irving, you're in a tornado warning. The tornado that has produced damage is right near there. So whether it's lifted or pulsing or weakening, it's pretty close to you within a matter of about 5-10 miles. So just know that that will likely pass fairly soon, but it's still one that could continue to strengthen. So yeah, it still looks like a defined debris ball there. The rotation does look a little broad, but not zero by any means. And then this Caledonia cell, still, it almost looks like it's being driven by the rear flank downdraft. So those outflow winds starting to like kick out ahead with some velocity maximums to me. This is south of Lowell Township, gosh, by about 4 miles or so, headed towards Clarksville. So I don't know. Okay, yeah, I don't know if you can put a sample in this.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
New tornado warning for Barry, Eaton, and Ionia. I think they're just warning this entire line, which is what they did back in March, where they just warn it with the possibility of it producing spin-up tornadoes within the line. This says, severe thunderstorms capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight-line damage located near Alto and Freeport, moving east at 45 miles per hour.
Okay, so yes, that is, and it kind of encompasses the 2 cells that we've been watching that have been exhibiting rotation, both the one that's lifted on the north side of Caledonia and even this one that's tracking kind of in the south side of Hastings. So as those come together, just going to be watching this portion of the line pretty heavily. Still raining in spots like Allegan, but about to kind of settle down a bit. By the way, Van Buren County, still quite a bit of lightning and rain and wind, but I would say that this storm is pretty close to clearing you within the next 20 minutes or so. If we just want to pause and do a brief reset, We are under a tornado watch, at least aside from lakeshore areas, until 3 a.m. This line is going to continue to move through West Michigan as we continue through the next couple of hours. We expect that it should clear most, if not all, of our viewing area by midnight. This southern tail might take a little bit more time as it moves through Calhoun County. And then once it passes, severe threat just drops right off. We have been getting a lot of power outages in thousands along the lakeshore. We have had several confirmed 70-mile-per-hour winds gusts along the lakeshore and 2 radar confirmed tornadoes, meaning debris was picked up and lofted into the sky. Right now, the most active warnings are the ones that are in Berry County, Kent County, and now a new one that's in Ionia County and northern Berry County. As Blake just mentioned, that's for this portion of the line that's continuing to move forward. Mount Calm County, severe thunderstorm warning for you. Take this one seriously. I know the storm is already halfway through Mount Calm County. However, the very fast winds still able to mix down. And then it looks like the city of Grand Rapids, heavy rain should stop soon.
Ellen, Sarah, if you could zoom in just west of Clarksville, between just south of Lowell, it looks like the wind signature has really picked up here in the last scan. I'm seeing samples potentially upwards of 80 miles per hour.
Definitely.
With that little notch.
This is between Lowell, Charter Township, and then Clarksville. So it's getting close to the county line here. It's probably going to be lifting just on the south side of Saranac. So right about here. Yep. So you can see why the tornado warning was continued and carried forward into southern Ionia County. Clarksville, you need to take cover now. This tornado or potential tornado is headed towards you. And even if it's not a tornado, it could be a really strong burst of winds that's just as strong as a weak tornado. So sometimes it doesn't really matter if the wind is laying it flat or if it's spinning it, it's still capable of doing the same amount of damage there. So again, this is the Lowell area. This likely is going to be tracking south of Saranac, north of Clarksville. These storms, especially the tornado warning portions, kind of moving east, but subtly northeast from scan to scan.
Hard to tell if this is a straight line wind situation or if this storm is just cycling and trying to produce another tornado.
Yeah, another tornado warning for Kalamazoo County coming in now. Again,
tornado warning?
Correct. Correct, yep.
Oh, for Calhoun and Kalamazoo.
I think that you're exactly right. I think they're warning the whole line because there's just small little notches that keep kind of spinning up or attempting to do so. There it goes. Really far eastern Kalamazoo County. So places like Galesburg, Augusta, Climax, trending towards Battle Creek in Calhoun County. Again, if we look at our velocity, there's just these little notches trying, as Ellen's alluding to there. And so, again, they're just preparing for the potential of a brief spin up that wouldn't take much to get there. So, again, pretty much this entire line at this point under a tornado warning.
Yeah, that makes sense. Moving towards the Battle Creek area, also tracking due east. And I really love what you said, Sarah, the fact that, like, if you live in Kalamazoo or Portage, Vicksburg, Schoolcraft, you guys are not under the tornado warning. So even if maybe your county chose to sound the sirens or your portion of the county did, it really is just this far eastern portion that we're seeing here. I might have you zoom out and just so we can show where the warnings are. And you can see again that the lakeshore area, even almost to 131, is now almost in the clear completely as far as severe threats go. Even the city of Grand Rapids are seeing the lightning still present, but not quite as frequent as we see the last little bit of rain here. So it's always the leading edge of the line that we usually look for the most. And the latest tornado warning through the Calhoun County area is for that cell that just passed through most of Kalamazoo County. Still monitoring some of these notches just to see if a tornado can be produced. Keep in mind, Mount Calm County, northern Ionia County, not under a tornado warning.
We have a crew down in Kalamazoo right now, Duncan and Dan. Thankfully, they've taken shelter as this storm is rolling through Kalamazoo. And as you mentioned, Ellen, sirens may be sounding for Kalamazoo, but the leading edge is where I think if we were to see any tornadoes, it would be along the leading edge, which thankfully is pretty quickly moving east of Kalamazoo.
I think now is a great time, since we know that most of these warnings are for these notches along the line, to do a reset to see what we're seeing in the field with our reporters, with our anchors. So Brian, Amber, what have you guys been seeing?
Okay, Ellen, team, thank you. Yes, we have been tracking these powerful storms rolling through West Michigan tonight. You can hear the rain on the roof of the studio. and the warning's still in effect for most of the area tonight.
Yeah, we can definitely hear the sirens outside our studio, so it sounds like first responders are busy out there. I do want to let you know that, Ellen, though, that I did check in with Chuck downstairs. He's monitoring the scanners, and he's saying right now no reports of any major damage at this point. He said a wire down, some tree damage, but so far good news, no major damage to report at this time, but a lot of power outages.
We want to get to News 8's Brittany Flowers down in the newsroom with more on those outages. Brittany, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I have been keeping an eye on the Consumers Energy outage map kind of throughout the night, and I have it pulled up on my phone because every time I refresh it, more outages come in. So even just 5 minutes ago, there were about 63,000 outages. Just refreshed my phone. There are now up to 83,000. So that jumped by 20,000 outages just within the last 5 minutes or so. The first ones that we started seeing come in were in the Muskegon area. And then we saw some more come in through Holland, and honestly, a lot of the larger it's widespread, but there are some larger pockets with 1,000 or more outages in some of the southern parts of our region. I'm just seeing another new 1,000 or more customers out, a new outage in the Kalamazoo area, north of Kalamazoo. So a lot of people being impacted by power outages right now. Up to over 83,000. Like I said, every time I refresh, more and more outages are popping up. So we're seeing some in Grand Rapids now, even to our south, a really large one in the Hudsonville, Jamestown area too. So yeah, we will continue to keep an eye on this. Again, just jumped by another 500. So as these storms move through, they are really knocking out power. This is impacting a lot of people in terms of power. We were told by consumers earlier this evening that they had 500 crews that they were ready to deploy to help address these and get the power back on as soon as possible.
Gotcha.
So we
yeah,
you guys.
Two things.
Let's get back.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. So two things. First and foremost, we could have a tornado on the ground in the Kalamazoo County area. So this is near Augusta. You can see that Sara has it outlined there. Blake, I also want you to keep an eye on that cell that's just on the north side of Clarksville. Okay. Really big burst of velocity there. Okay, back to Kalamazoo County. Active tornado warning. They're approaching the Calhoun County line, likely just crossing over into Calhoun County here. This is approaching the Springfield area. This is also approaching Battle Creek. So we're only about 4.5 miles away from potential tornado on the ground producing debris moving into Battle Creek. We are going to be watching this scan by scan. As we've seen, some of these survive and continue, and some of them dissipate. However, it does look like what we've been seeing already a couple of times tonight, where a storm is exhibiting rotation and then we see debris pop up. So debris tracker means destruction has happened at the surface and that has been picked up by a tornado. Straight line winds can blow things out, but the tornado picks it up, lofts it into the sky, and then the radar sees it and says, that doesn't look like a raindrop or a hailstone, that's something different. So we can identify debris in that way, and anytime you have a tight signature that lines up with a few other factors, we want to take it seriously because it's one of the best ways to confirm that a tornado is happening. This is moving over Skyline Drive in the Springfield area. This is moving towards Harmonia Road, right near the Springfield area, if not the south side of Springfield itself. So if you live in the Springfield community, Battle Creek, you need to take cover now. Again, it does look like a tornado that produced damage is moving towards you. So we're going to be seeing if this gets that official confirmed tornado tag by the radar, but I would take this one very seriously. That's something I like. It looks like maybe it's getting a little bit broader. That usually means it's falling apart, but we're going to be watching this scan by scan. Also, Blake, that Caledonia is like north of Caledonia into Clarksville. Is there anything coming in with that? We also have a burst of wind.
Yeah, no rotation right now, but I think it's definitely a straight line wind threat. We're getting winds just north of 96, south of Saranac. This is near Grand River Avenue and Nash Highway.
Yeah.
Sampled close to 80 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So I think it's basically traveling along I-96, capable of producing winds at this point of 70 to 80 miles per hour. And we're still watching that little notch in the line, but I think right now the greatest threat is going to be damaging winds moving eventually toward the Portland area here within the next 15 minutes or so.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Lake Odessa, probably starting to hear the wind outside. Right now, wind speeds probably close to about 50 miles per hour, potentially some stronger winds just to the south of you. But remember, if you see winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour, that's just as strong as a weak tornado. So if we're seeing these 70 mile per hour wind gusts make it to the ground, like what likely happened in Hudsonville, weak tornado. It's just the type of damage is a little different. Still looks like this debris signature approaching Springfield is it's looking pretty present. Rotation shows that we do have a couplet. Kalamazoo, you're almost in the clear for the tornado warning. So even though it's like thundering a bunch, raining still a ton, it looks like the part of the storm that could do damage is starting to track even out of Kalamazoo County completely. So likely we'll see that trimmed back shortly. This looks like it's headed towards the airport.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could, you know, sometimes we still see the debris signature for a few scans after the tornado's lifted. But the fact that we're seeing at least some sort of debris signature rolling into Battle Creek, this is now Calhoun County, potential tornado in Calhoun County. We could be seeing this very close to the downtown region of Battle Creek right now, or if not here within the next minute or two.
Okay, yeah, looks like we just got another scan and that just raced forward. So passing the airport, now kind of on the south side of Battle Creek potentially. Looks like
Correct.
rain cooled air at the airport here. We'll have to see what the wind speeds were there, but gosh, scan by scan, this storm is definitely messy. Lake Odessa likely seeing a burst of wind now moving over you.
We're seeing a wind signature just southeast of Saranac now of 95 miles per hour. That wind signature is certainly strengthened here, and it doesn't look tornadic. It just looks like straight line wind potential right now.
My goodness, yeah, that's robust. So this probably, in my opinion, started as rear flank downdraft because this was attached to that cell that was like tornadic. And then once the wind started mixing down, it potentially opened the floodgates for really fast wind. So would not be surprised if we're seeing a lot of damage akin to a weak tornado on the south side of Saranac. So please take cover if you live on the south side of Saranac. This is tracking due east. It's likely going to be south of Ionia itself. So if you live in Ionia or Lyons, potentially this is going to miss you to the south. I would still get into your safe place just in case. Looks like Battle Creek ASOS reports 76 mile per hour winds gust that just went over it.
We're at, sorry?
Battle Creek Airport.
Battle Creek Airport,
Yeah.
wow.
So again, that's basically an EF0 tornado strength. EF0 is 65 to 85 miles per hour. So what we were just tracking, again, even if it doesn't verify necessarily as a tornado, which it may because we saw the debris, definitely powerful winds. You know, I kind of take it back. This is lifting a little bit closer to Ionia than I like. Sorry, jumping back up into Ionia County. That burst of winds has me a bit concerned. It's bowing out just as it's passing Lake Odessa. It's headed towards Portland. Strongest winds right about here. Next scan is kind of bringing it right on the south side. Okay, we'll have to watch it. Looks like Sara just sampled it at 60. That might be better than I'm seeing here.
Right around 60. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of tools that we use. That's why it's nice when we have a team so we can kind of like cross-reference. But those ground truth reports, like the one that we just saw in Battle Creek, a 76 mile per hour winds gust. Like again, that's substantial. That's akin to an EF0 tornado. So I think we still need to watch this cell as it's rolling through south side of Ionia County, just cutting on the south side of Ionia itself.
I think they canceled that tornado warning further off to the south. It's now out of Kalamazoo County. So Kalamazoo, you're in the clear. You may have been hearing those sirens still. Still not seeing, we were watching this debris signature for quite a bit of time, which just passed to the south of Battle Creek. I do think it's falling apart, so that's a little bit of a silver lining there. So kind of what you were highlighting near Saranac, I do think that's the most dangerous spot, which yes, I apologize, kind of juggling a few things over here. It was sampling winds anywhere from about 80 to 90 miles per hour right there.
And apparently a lot of people wondering why I'm using my phone. I've got a little handheld radar. Now that I'm in my 30s, my eyesight isn't as good. So sometimes during severe weather, I need it like up close to my face. So what I'm looking at here is what you're looking at here. So I'm zooming in and kind of looking at it to, again, keep you safe.
Ellen, I think we may have a new tornado developing just north of Battle Creek. Basically between Battle Creek and Bellevue. They're right there. You see that notch?
Yes, right here. So we've got Again, very close together, that tight couplet. It looks like this is Huntington Road, rolling towards West Drive, up this way, towards Pine Lake Road, yes. West Drive North.
Correct. Yep. 12-mile road.
So this is right near the Huntington Road area. Again, this is in the Calhoun County area. As Sarah mentioned, tornado warnings for the Kalamazoo County expired. So this is purely Calhoun now, but this cell has a history of potentially doing damage. We saw the debris signature. We saw the winds coming in at 76 miles per hour at the Battle Creek Airport, and we're seeing it tighten back up. This can absolutely happen when it comes to tornadoes. So looks like it's going to be riding on the north side of Huntington Road, potentially headed up towards West Drive North, and then potentially as far north as 12 Mile Road here. So again, this is for the tornado warning in the Calhoun County area. Right now, if you live on the west side of 131, it looks like you're kind of in the clear. We're starting to see things really calm down. But on the leading edge of the line, we still have several spots that we're watching for intense fast wind gusts and potential debris. So that's what Sarah's doing right now, popping up the debris tracker. And this is tracking, it looks like it's pretty consistent with where the circulation was, and moving right near the Huntington Road area. It's not the tightest, most defined debris signature that I've seen, which is a good thing. It means maybe the debris is light, trees, shingles, something of the sort like that, but it still is tracking east and occasionally northeast through the Calhoun County area, very close to Battle Creek. So that's one of the cells that we're watching. Also, Allegan County, you're in the clear. Tornado warning probably going to be trimmed back for you here shortly. And it looks like that line that's headed past Lake Odessa, closer to Portland, crossing 196 on the south side of Ionia, still needs to be taken seriously. Gusts to 60 very likely, maybe some pockets of 70-mile-per-hour winds gusts possible, especially if we continue to get little rotation notches that pop in. But anytime you see that defined line like this, it shows us that the storm has the potential of producing fast wind gusts on the ground. Just want to say this again, if you see me using my phone, apparently some people have been upset at home. Just a reminder that I'm using a radar. It's just a lot closer to me, so I can see the city names a little bit better than the camera that's all the way far away. So everything that we do here is just to keep you safe, and I'm sorry if it gave the impression that I was doing something else besides severe weather. Okay, this is headed towards Portland. Confirmed tornado?
No, I'm just saying we were getting reports of power flashes in Battle Creek.
Oh, power flashes happen when the tornado is on the ground and it hits power lines. That creates a spark. So power flash is usually an indication that a tornado is on the ground after dark. It's one of those key tools that we use. And there's far fewer tools to confirm a tornado is on the ground after dark. So this again that you're looking at is Ionia County into northern Berry County. Some gusts near 70 miles per hour embedded in this, still possible to mix down. So please stay in your safe place. Sarah, I might have you navigate back down to the Calhoun County storm when you get a moment, and then we can put a track on that to see how that's moving forward. So it looks like it's past Battle Creek, but you said power flashes maybe in the Battle Creek area?
I think as the storm was passing through, I think the main center of circulation right now is just south of Bellevue. It looks like that's the strongest signature, at least to me.
Yeah.
A little further north from there. That little notch right there, I think both might be potentially doing something. We heard from the Weather Service that the Battle Creek airport observation site gusted to 76 at 11:09 p.m. before it went offline, so that may have been directly hit by a tornado or at least straight line winds there. Meanwhile, we have a new tornado warning for Eaton County, which I think is probably, for the whole county, which just continues to emphasize the potential for spin-ups.
Definitely makes sense, especially as that cell is moving in. I do think that one near Bellevue is tightening up. It's just kind of south of Bellevue, again, riding the county line. Looks like it's going to be...
Eaton County 911 has a report of a funnel cloud just southwest of Bellevue, which lines up with that area of rotation that we're seeing.
Okay. So all of these things just showing us how many different portions of this line have been able to produce tornadoes. And again, as you just heard, the Battle Creek Airport sensor measuring 76 miles per hour before going offline, which means the wind could have been potentially stronger. So we are going to focus in on the portions of this line that could do damage. We have this one cell that's headed towards Olivet. Right now tracking due east. The circulation is moving due east in the latest scans, but this absolutely is a continuation of the Battle Creek tornado that rolled through, very likely. And this is potentially going to be lifting just on the northeast side of Bellevue, and then gradually crossing over I-69, and then potentially heading on the south side of Olivet. So we're going to be watching to see how this holds together, but it's already survived from Kalamazoo County, just on the western side, over through a good portion of Calhoun County. Also behind me, you can see the power outage count. The brighter colors, or the darker colors rather, the reds indicating more outages there. You can also see a sky cam of Grand Rapids as things are starting to become more tame. We're hearing less thunder here in the Grand Rapids area. We're hearing less rain. In fact, if we zoom out and turn on reflectivity when the time is right, you'll probably see that most of the lakeshore is clear and that the rain is kind of wrapping up in the Wayland area. So we'll be watching some of these cells that are rolling towards Muskegon. Don't really think that they're going to have what it takes to produce anything severe. Really looks like the threat is out ahead. So some of these severe thunderstorm warnings that are still kind of hanging on, or special weather statements, will likely be expired for places like the Kalamazoo County area as we just continue to follow this line over towards Lansing.
I think the circulation's tightening up a little bit as it heads toward Olivet.
Okay.
Most recent scan has a pretty decent, it's not terribly tight, but there's definitely a rotation signature there, and it looks like there may be debris, at least some sort of debris, trying to get, the debris is perked up is what I'm trying to say in the most recent scan. It looks like it's crossing over I-69 right now, just south of Olivet.
Okay, so this is headed probably near Butterfield Highway, Baseline Road, Pine Lake, Cutlerville Event Center. Those are the locations that could potentially see a tornado crossing by, and a tornado that's likely on the ground doing damage. So once again, we want to take this seriously. Anytime we have freeways, especially, I'm just hoping that people are paying attention to the alerts on their phone and they're not staying in their car. A car is very unsafe when it comes to severe weather. So this is going to continue to lift, likely towards, let's see, Marshall Road on the south side of Olivet. And Sarah, if we take this back a couple of scans and then back forward, any indication of if it's tracking due east or if it's lifting northeast?
I would say northeast has been the latest trend. It is tagged east at about 45 to 50 miles per hour, but I do think areas like Olivet, the rotation is likely over right now, over the area right now.
Okay.
I mean. Little bit of, little bit of debris popping here and there as well. Nothing super defined at the exact moment, and no reports just yet.
Sounds like
northeast.
Okay. This is the Holland area. You can see a large tree on a house in the Holland area. So remember, Holland had a tornado warning, and then it kind of fizzled quickly, but we had intense wind. I'm also just getting a message from a friend in the Martin area, trusted guy. He said barns down in the Martin area, as in a tornado knocked down the barns most likely. So we're going to also be waiting for daylight and getting confirmation on that. If you have some tips like this, send them to us, and then we always confirm them. So that way we can get the ground truth, right? We don't want to just report anything that we're hearing. We want to make sure to do our due diligence and actually make sure that what we're seeing is truth before we spread it out over the airwaves. But anything you're seeing in a safe way, please let us know. Please watch for power lines as you're heading out to look at trees and such. Those can oftentimes catch people off guard. Olivet, you need to get to your safe place right now. Bellevue, it looks like the tornadic circulation has just passed you. So you might still see some fast winds. Don't necessarily get out of your safe space yet, but just know that this potential circulation with debris is now moving towards the Olivet area, and it looks like lifting up towards Brookfield and riding very close to, if not overhead, I-69. Charlotte now needs to be one of those locations that takes cover. Now, Charlotte is in the Lansing coverage area, although we know we have a lot of people that live in this general vicinity, a lot of communities that do watch Storm Team 8. So while there's debris on the ground, I would prefer to stay with it and to track this, especially because it looks like it's headed right over Olivet as we speak. So if we could, when you have a moment, Sarah, just zoom in on Olivet and see what roads might be impacted here. Green Road, potentially debris lofted over you right now. Tornado likely moving over Bellevue Highway, Matthews Road, Miller Highway in the Olivet area, lifting towards Mahan Highway and South Cochran Road. All of these areas near I-69 in the Olivet area. It looks like it's kind of rolling on the south side of the community of Olivet at this point in time.
National Weather Service indicating tracking again along I-69, definitely taking more of a northeasterly trend. I think it'll split really between I-69 and Brookfield if it continues this direction. Hopefully by that point falling apart altogether.
Check out the wind signature if you don't mind, just west of Charlotte. I think it's really perking up there too. We may have another quick spin up that might be about to take place. And again, this is the fringe of our viewing area, but it looks like we have 2 pockets of potential spin-up tornadoes that are ongoing, and the Weather Service has said as much over Olivet and over Charlotte.
Also, if we could just head up to Muir and Lyons, it looks like potentially some fast winds coming down in that direction, headed towards Westphalia, Pewamo, Portland's likely getting split by some intense winds as well. So as you're seeing, we're just monitoring all these different places on the line. What's on the screen right now near the Charlotte area looks like strong to potentially damaging winds headed towards Charlotte. But again, this entire line producing spin-up tornadoes, potentially strong tornadoes, albeit briefly, and also really fast wind gusts. Some gusts coming in at least 76 miles per hour, several along the lakeshore, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So if we could head up just kind of in the south side of Ionia County just for a moment near the Portland area. Lyons, not officially in the tornado warning, but in a severe thunderstorm warning. And if we turned on just velocity to look at the wind speeds, wind tracker still showing this bowing. So likely winds to 60, looks like 72 potentially. Pockets of 70 are possible, and that's weak tornado strength. So everyone that's within this tornado warning, even including Lyons, even though you're not technically in the tornado warning, but you are in the severe thunderstorm warning, please stay in your safe place. And then if you live in the Westphalia area, Grand Ledge, Riley, likely going to be seeing an extension of this warning out ahead. In fact, Grand Ledge does. Lake Odessa, winds likely starting to settle for you. Saranac likely settling for you as well. This is along the I-96 corridor. Forest Hills, totally in the clear at this point in time. And our power outages are likely going to continue to climb with time. They're one of the best real-time reports that we see for where damage has been, and you can see that the numbers are quite high starting at the lakeshore, but that kind of makes sense because the storm moved first through the lakeshore, so we're seeing those outages come in first. So as we go through this evening, wouldn't be surprised if we saw them leap up just a bit more. If we just zoom out to show how many people are in the clear, Rockford, Ada, you guys are safe to go to bed. Holland, Muskegon, South Haven, Bangor, Kalamazoo, south side of Kalamazoo is still a pretty robust portion of the cell, but the whole east side of Kalamazoo still needs to stay in your safe place. The west side, the rain stops, and then you can kind of know that it's safe to go to bed. Still, this Calhoun County storm along with Eaton, and this one that's cutting through Berry County, something that we need to watch. Actually, can we look at Berry County?
I think Berry County is pretty much in at this point.
The tornado warning expires in 3 minutes. I think we're just letting it ride out. The confirmed tornado, which again, not a confirmed tornado anymore, but the other warnings in place that are stretching for Ionia County goes to 11:45. I think the threat is pretty much barely holding on to eastern Ionia County at this point. So within a couple minutes, I do think that they'll trim that back, and most of West Michigan at that point should be in the clear. We'll keep watching this storm further off to the south in Calhoun County. Again, tornado warning still in effect there. I've been watching this, Ellen. This has been popping here and there just north of Marshall. I think that's the reason why they're likely holding on to it, but it's been struggling to hold together. Again, very tricky situation when we have really a line passing through. We just see these quick spin ups and quick little kind of rotations within. So we'll watch it for the next scan, but things looking much better than they did just a little bit ago here.
Which is encouraging, and it's so nice that we have several communities that can relax, head to bed, maybe assess damage tomorrow, or maybe you just saw a thunderstorm in your area. So this is the setup that we have right now. If we expand our view and just talk about what's happening, we'll do a brief overview before we toss it back to Amber and Brian, our anchors on the desk, that they can give us a really good view of what's happening, a wider perspective in the community. Here is reflectivity. So this is the classic radar that you usually see. And notice 131 down to about Kalamazoo and west towards the lakeshore, almost completely dry. So again, really looking like the threat is diminished. Tornado watch is expired for you. Warnings expired for you. You can go ahead and head to bed. Now it does look like Kent County is also included in that quiet drop off with the shower and storm activity. Kalamazoo, Portage, some storms just to the south of you. This is going to continue to head towards the Coldwater area. Right now, winds gusting to 60, maybe 70 miles per hour. Not impossible, but a big portion of our community can head to bed knowing that the storms have passed. Now, as we move the storm, as the storm moves, I should say, into the Lansing coverage area, we will be getting off the continuous coverage here at Wood TV and let our partners in Lansing take over that storm coverage wall to wall. But for now, Brian, Amber, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Ellen, we're really starting to see some of the damage left behind from these storms. The pictures just started coming in the last 10, 15 minutes. A lot of reports of trees crashing into homes in Holland, Kalamazoo, Norton Shores, a lot of downed power lines. So please don't go outside, stay inside.
Yeah. Anecdotally, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing on social media and some of the emails coming into the station, folks just down there in that area in Battle Creek in the Marshall area saying their house was shaking, that they could legitimately see the trees bowing in their yard. So powerful storms moving through. News 8's Brittany Flowers. She's also power outages. What are we up to right now, Brittany?
Yeah, we at the last refresh, which I just did, and every time again, still close to 133,000 people without power. And for reference, when we talked to you about 30 minutes ago, there were about 63,000. So that just shows how quickly these storms swept through our region and just how many people are without power tonight. Now, this is pretty kind of widespread throughout West Michigan. There are a lot of outages that are kind of now on that lower to our south in the Kalamazoo region, a lot of larger pockets with those 1,000 or more outages. You can see the red, so that indicates that there's 1,000 or more people without power in that red zone, and then the orange ones are anywhere from 200 to 1,000. The purple are 50 to 200, and then those smaller blue dots are anywhere from 1 to 50. So you can see just how widespread these outages are. We did just get some information from the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office about outages in that area. They're assessing damage in Ottawa County that includes downed trees, power lines, blocked roads, and even small fires that are being addressed by local public safety there. As about 11 o'clock tonight, they said more than 13,000 consumers energy customers power, 3,200 in Grand Haven, 1,600 in Holland. And they are asking people to stay off the roads tonight to keep those utility and road workers safe while they try to clear those roads and get power back on. Obviously, not fun to not have power, but again, up to now more than 135,000 customers across our state without power tonight. So we will continue to keep monitoring this, and I know Consumers has extra crews out working hard to get that power restored as soon as possible. Amber and Brian.
Thank you, Brittany. I think we have some pictures coming in now from Norton Shores, I believe. We'll pull those up if we can. But I believe it is some trees into homes there as well.
Lots of reports of storm over West Michigan, and here are some of those images. A large tree there, as you can see, just giving you an indication how big that tree is. There's a man there in the foreground looking at what is left behind, and yeah, this tree snapped and damaging the yard there. Getting a lot of this, a lot of anecdotal reports from people on social media saying that, you know, they're stuck in a car. They're we've heard sirens here in the neighborhood, people going by as well. So be careful out there. It could be a lot of debris out on the road. It's dark. There are scattered power outages. As Brittany was talking about, sometimes in these systems, you can kind of see the path the storm took just based on where the power outages are. These are all over the place. So that makes it challenging for power crews as well in the next few days as the cleanup begins.
And we do have crews out there right now, and we'll be checking in with them shortly, but we want to go back to Blake and Ellen.
Thank you. It looks like we have another tornado on the ground. I know this is the fringe of our viewing area, but these storms continue to produce tornadoes. This is a confirmed tornado warning for eastern Eaton County that does include Potterville. Potterville, unfortunately, has taken several major tornado hits over the last 20 years, and you can see one on the ground right now just north of Potterville. This is moving toward Diamonddale, and again, I know this is at the edge of our... There are folks in Potterville who do still get us. This is just north of I-69. Just north of Pinch Highway, just to the east of M100, and this will be moving over toward the I-69, I-96 corridor over toward the south side of Lansing, where our sister station WLNS will pick it up. But it does look like And we looks like we have another confirmed tornado warning in eastern Calhoun County as well. It must have been for that signature that was down near Marshall. Forgive me while I kind of move around a little bit. I think it was for that possible tornado. Let me step back.
That's correct. You can see a little bit of a debris reflectivity there, or debris signature popping up.
It looks like it peaked just north of Marshall there, just north of 94 about 10 minutes ago. And it looks like it has since either lifted or weakened considerably. Typically, when you see the debris start to spread out a little bit, that's a good sign that the tornado has lifted. And so it looks like we did have a likely tornado touchdown on the north side of Marshall as well, just north of I-94. And that it's incredible how quickly this list of possible tornado spin-ups grew. As soon as it crossed 131 into a more favorable tornado environment, we now have 2 confirmed tornado warnings. I don't think that Marshall one's on the ground anymore, but we do have a likely tornado in progress on the north side of Potterville. The debris continues to be there as well. And again, this is moving into Lansing here shortly, but you can pretty clearly see a debris signature right here. Meanwhile, tornado warning does remain in effect for Ionia County, but the threat of the storms has passed by. It should be dropped any minute now as the main leading edge. If it's going to be producing tornadoes, you can see this whole line is warned for tornadoes actually, but if it's going to be there, it's now along getting closer to the 127 corridor over toward DeWitt, Bath, St. John's, and that is east of our main viewing area. It looks like a tornado warning was just issued for Lansing for all of Ingham County. Not confirmed. This is till 12:15. But the entire Lansing metro area has now been warned for a possible tornado, at least the south side of Lansing, and it is because of this tornado that was or is on the ground just to the north of Potterville. So this line continues to produce damaging winds and tornado spin-ups, and it looks like this will be the last one with this line, thankfully, as it continues to move out of our area. But this has been a very active radar all night long, and the Weather Service continues to issue tornado warnings. Now, we do have severe thunderstorm warnings for Kalamazoo. The main line is still just now getting to St. Joseph County, knocking on the doorstep of Constantine, Ottawa. This will eventually be moving into Branch County. At this time, I believe this line is just warned for 60-mile-per-hour winds. Meantime, it's pretty much cleared Kalamazoo, Portage, Hastings. You're getting some rain, but the severe threat has passed. Ionia, the severe threat has passed.
I mean, just actually expired the tornado warning for Ionia County. Okay. Barry's in the clear. So tornado-wise in West Michigan, as Blake mentioned, the only one we're concerned about is on eastern Calhoun County. Really almost out of our area there as well. Still technically confirmed, but the debris signature is considerably weaker in the latest scan. But again, you'll notice it just keeps cycling. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Looks like there may be a tornado on the ground moving into the south side of Lansing. Of course, that's now in WLNS's viewing area. But anytime you see this shade of yellow or green or blue, that's indicative of a possible tornado touchdown, and it looks like one may be ongoing there. But for West Michigan as a whole, I think we're getting pretty close to giving the all clear. Ellen, is there anything else you're noticing with this line?
You know, not really, which is fantastic. Of course, we're going to be thinking of our partners and our community members that are over in the Lansing area and further to the east. New severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson County is an example. So this is something that Michigan in general is going to have to continue to monitor. But as you've just been saying, Blake and Sarah, looks like the threat for West Michigan is really dropping off. We still have this tail of downpour action and winds on the south side of Kalamazoo County, and it's moving closer to the Coldwater region. We'll be watching that as well. But in general, I would say give it a good 45 more minutes if you live in some of these areas under severe thunderstorm warning ongoing before you get out of your safe place. So Coldwater, we're still waiting for this storm to approach you. These storms have been moving at about 50 miles per hour. We will be watching along the line to see, again, if there are any confirmed tornado warnings. But at this point in time, it's not looking like we're seeing any spin, at least as far as I'm seeing on some of the velocity. It really looks like most of the action is a little bit further to the north. If we were to see anything, it would be near the Colon area, Ottawa, but that looks more like a downburst signature to me than a tornado signature at this point. But just know that we are still monitoring some of these folks that live a little bit further to the south because the alert isn't completely done there yet. Kalamazoo County still under the severe thunderstorm warning, but it's just for the very southwestern portion. And as we've been mentioning, it's the leading portion of the line that we have to watch for. Hastings, a lot of rain and lightning for you right now. Would not be surprised if this severe thunderstorm warning is expired. Maybe it was, and that's something that Sarah mentioned. But the Ionia County one also looking like it's in the clear. Confirmed tornadoes, we're likely going to be seeing several. I mean, this is our second tornado event here where we've had not just one tornado, but likely several. So adding to Michigan's count by a large margin, and we're just now entering into severe weather season.
Ellen,
so yes.
I'm sorry, just a quick, is there anything else you want to add? Because I think we might have someone live out in the field with damage.
No, that'd be good. I'm going to watch the storm near Cullen, but other than that,
okay.
I think we're ready.
Let's go back to Brian and Amber. Brian and Amber, we understand you have a live shot with some damage.
Yeah, Adriana Doria, she's live in Holland. She was taking cover earlier in a bathroom, but it's now safe for her to go out, so she is seeing some damage. Adriana, what are you seeing out there? Okay, just a couple seconds. I think there she is.
This is literally right across the street from Lake Makatawa. We are here on Ottawa Beach Road. We are right across the street from Lake Makatawa. We literally just left the restaurant. This was Reservoir Restaurant here in Holland. That's where we were taking shelter. Literally within walking distance, you can see this massive tree down, basically covering half of the road right now. So some cars are still able to go one way, but the other way cars are going to have to go around, which that's obviously going to pose a danger because you can't really see past the tree. And we've also, if my photographer moves in here, you can see it is over a fence. So this entire fence completely, you know, almost broken with this tree that came down. Again, walking distance from this Reservoir Restaurant and literally right across from Lake Makatawa, a very busy area. We're told there's also a campground right here, so a lot of people are around this tree. But again, massive tree that came down. No more rain as of now. The wind certainly subsided. We haven't seen a lot of lightning either, so definitely a much calmer scene than probably an hour ago listening to our Mets when we were in that tornado warning. But again, huge tree here. We're going to keep driving around, see what else we can find. But right now, you're just going to, if you're driving on Ottawa Beach Road, you're going to want to make sure you take it extra careful because, again, you're not going to be able to see going one way. So for now, live in Holland, I'll send it back to you guys. Adriana Doria, News 8.
Adriana, while we have you, just talk a little bit about your own personal experience tonight. We had sent you out along the lakeshore to cover these storms as they rolled in. Suddenly, you find yourself in the middle of it. You had to take shelter. You were with strangers. Walk us through your evening.
Yeah, you know, I got to give a huge shout out to this restaurant, Reservoir. We started camped out by Lake Makatawa, literally right across the street, and then it started getting kind of dark, and so we figured we should probably find somewhere to be at least inside. So we went right across the street to this restaurant, kind of camped out there. There was a bunch of other people eating in there, all trying to, you know, go about their evening. All of a sudden, it slowly started feeling like something was wrong. And I was listening the whole time to our meteorologists. Shout out to them as well for their amazing coverage today. But we were listening to them. We had all the TVs on in the restaurant, and all of a sudden it was, let's develop a plan. Let's figure out what we're going to do. So immediately those sirens went off, and I gotta say, my first time ever hearing sirens, not for a test, so pretty scary experience for sure. So we immediately ran into the bathroom. We had some of the people who worked there went into like their walk-in cooler, but we had different groups in both bathrooms. Kind of, I was crouched down on the floor. We had some people in the stall. It was kind of a little family in there, honestly, of a little nervous while we were sitting in there. Yeah. But we were in there for probably 30-40 minutes, just kind of camped out there. So definitely a pretty terrifying scene. But I got to shout it out to the Mets for letting us know to get in there. We were all watching, and we listened to their advice. So definitely take it seriously. It was something definitely an experience for sure.
Absolutely. Glad you're safe. That's a scene that played out all over West Michigan tonight. A lot of folks taking shelter, riding it out in the basement. We saw that the hospital was evacuating, people down in the parking garage. So it was a busy night here in West Michigan.
So many reports of downed trees, down power lines. So just, it's dark out, right? So please be careful. If you can stay inside, stay inside.
Let's send it back to the tracking center. Blake.
Yeah, the whole team's here. Blake, Sara, intern Cole looking at some of those damage reports coming in from you guys. He's passing them along to the newsroom. We do have some crews that are headed out to look at some of this damage in a safe way. So we've talked to them, let them know what to look for and how to look for it in a safe way. Martin, for example, that was a spot that we saw tornado debris signature, hearing some confirmation that maybe some barns impacted, so we do have someone headed there. The nonstop lightning coming to an end for many of us, but the big action is moving over the capital, Lansing. Right now, confirmed tornadoes in that region. I'm actually gonna let Blake talk about this in just a moment, because because he used to work in Lansing, so that's his old stomping grounds. As for this batch that's just clearing Kalamazoo County into Portage, this is headed towards Coldwater. The threat with this is about 60-mile-per-hour winds. So this is south of Kalamazoo County. We're talking St. Joseph County, Branch County, moving towards the Coldwater area. And as of now, we're not seeing any couplets. So we're not seeing any of that rotation that might indicate a tornado. But this is also a spot where the radars are a little bit further away from sampling it. So we have the northern Indiana radar. We also have the Grand Rapids radar. It's a little bit further of a reach for the Grand Rapids radar. So with that being said, we still want everyone to be in their safe spot. Leading edge of this line is still yet to track through and truly enter into the St. Joseph Branch area. So it's right now in St. Joseph, right on the eastern side and tracking again towards Branch at about 45 miles per hour due east. So a lot of lightning with this, potentially some flooding. Hail tracker wise, wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple of blips of hail, especially maybe right about here. So actually, Sarah, if we could zoom in on that hail swath. And we know folks in the Three Rivers area do watch us and do rely on us. So again, some potential larger hail, an inch, would not be surprised. This did look like it kind of fizzled near the Mendon area for hail. And haven't seen any reported wind gusts in the Three Rivers area yet. However, we did hear of a wind gust. Remind me, Blake, you just said it out loud. Northern Indiana, it was a gust to
59 in Three Rivers.
Okay. So Three Rivers, 59-mile-per-hour wind gust. So it was Three Rivers, not Northern Indiana. So that's an indication again that this wind is strong enough, even in this portion of the line that's looking a little less intense, for it to still knock down some trees, maybe produce damage. Three Rivers, this storm is going to be passing you shortly. Looks like we're looking at Kalamazoo here. This is power lines down, a fire you can see on the screen. So again, this is why we're saying please be careful as you're heading out to survey damage. Our crews briefed on how to do this safely. Of course, emergency crews on site there to also keep that zone safe. Sometimes after the storms pass, people just get right out into the debris and they don't see a downed line. They're really hard to spot. And sometimes that ends really poorly. So just encouraging you, if you have the power out, maybe grab the flashlights, treat it as a special night, save the damage for tomorrow. Make sure to do it safely with the daylight if you're kind of in that position. Continuing to watch these tornado warnings, several expired. Again, Blake, do you want to talk about these cells near the Lansing area?
Yeah, we did get a report of some power flashes being seen from the Meyer Distribution Center in Waverly, which is in Eaton County, which lines up with that debris signature that we were seeing. Now, these storms are pretty much all the way through Lansing, or at least the leading edges now. Still a tornado warning in effect for Ingham County, but it looks to me like this line is generally becoming a little more disorganized. In fact, if we loop this over the last hour, you can tell how defined it was over here, and then it's starting to get a little messier as it moves east. Not to say it's not still producing damage, potential spin-up tornadoes, but I think the threat is lessening, which is good news as it moves over closer toward the thumb in the Detroit area. You do still see a new tornado warning, it looks like, for Bay City. But we did likely have several tornado touchdowns, I think, in Eaton County. If we go back using our debris tracker, look over the last hour, you can see that one that we were tracking between Bellevue and Olivet, it looked like there was one that ended up developing near Potterville, and this is the one I think that tracked into the south side of Lansing over toward Waverly. You can still see the debris signature there just south of the 496 highway logo before it dissipated just before it hit downtown Lansing. So it looks like we had several tornado touchdowns. This is just in Eaton County. At the same time, it looked like we had one in Marshall. Very likely that the airport at Battle Creek took a hit from a possible tornado. We had the storm over near Martin. We had a possible tornado over in Caledonia. If you're keeping track of home, that's at home, that's at least 6, potentially more spin-up tornadoes that we've had tonight, that we've had an eye on possible debris. So that goes to show you just how intense this line is. Thankfully, now this line is making good inroads and moving east of us, and we do still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Calhoun, as well as St. Joseph and Branch. As of now, don't see any major sign of rotation, which of course is great news, but the overall threat is diminishing for West Michigan. If you're in Grand Rapids, if you're in Kalamazoo, if you're in Holland, Muskegon, South Haven, you are in the clear. I think it's safe to say if you're west of 131, you're in the clear. So we are getting this out of here quickly. But to answer your question, I do think we saw a tornado touchdown on the southwest suburbs rather, of Lansing before it lifted just before hitting the city.
National Weather Service will have to send out crews tomorrow to all these damage points, some of them high wind damage points, but probably most importantly first, some of those debris bullseyes to see if a tornado did actually track on through, and we'll add that to the tally. But just hoping folks stayed safe tonight, hoping as we're getting more and more information that's trickling in that there were no major injuries or fatalities. West Michigan always does the right thing and finds a safe spot. We have a phenomenal community, and you take safety seriously. So we in the tracking center are very grateful for that. We have crews that are all out and about right now, and they're hearing some of these damage reports that are coming in, and they're heading out to confirm it. So that way we can get ground truth, and not just scanner traffic, not just what you're hearing on social media or from a friend, like actual visual eyes from a reputable source, our reporters, to let us know what's happening. In the meantime, crews likely being assigned power line crews, as we've been checking in with Brittany Flowers about the outages. So that's something that we are going to be continuing to cover tomorrow during daybreak. In fact, Matt and Scott are likely going to be having some meteorologists out in the field to see what's happening. But luckily, it looks like after this line, forecast-wise, things are a little quieter. Do want to take this moment to mention two things. Tomorrow in the afternoon, we likely are going to be seeing some winds gusting to 40. That could slow down power line repair, just if it's unsafe for some of those linemen to get up there. In addition to that, we do expect a line of showers and storms again tomorrow night. A very, very small chance, one or two could be severe, but it's looking like it's going to be a much weaker setup. So this really was a powerful setup, as we mentioned, something that we don't always see in West Michigan, something that we see a little bit more in the plain states. So now that it's passed through and we have the tornadoes on the ground, the wind reports, again, you can rest a little easier knowing that it is past us, and the storms that are rolling through tomorrow night should be sub-severe. Following that, again, gusts to 40 on Friday, especially in the afternoon, and then gusts to 40 on Saturday, especially early. The weekends will be cool and quiet, and then next week is trending cool and quiet as well. Sara's popping up rainfall right now, so we have a few damage reports that are starting to trickle in, but something that we have been hearing, some flooded roads, which is a little surprising. We thought with the speed of these storms, we wouldn't really see too much in the flooding capacity, but looking at rainfall estimates, likely coming in at a fast inch of rain on the ground. And we're also again, just continuing to get some of these damage reports in, just getting some pictures in from Westnedge Hill and Kalamazoo, a tree on a house. Looks like everybody's safe, but right through the windows. So again, this is why we say go inside, get away from windows, and try to stay safe. Storm Track Live showing where the storms are currently, almost passing Lansing. And again, just watching St. Joseph and Branch, gusts to 60 there, but as of now, not looking like a tornado potential at this moment. We're going to continue to monitor this. We want to send it to Brittany Flowers now with an update on power outages. I'm sorry, Amber, Brian, what do you have?
No worries, Ellen. Yeah, we actually want to go back out to News 8's Adriana Doria. She's live in Holland. She was taking shelter earlier inside a restaurant there.
Adriana joins us now live again and talk with that restaurant owner who
Amber,
took mercy on us. Adriana.
Yeah, Amber, Brian, so we're at the same spot we just were, right here on Ottawa Beach Road. You can see a massive tree behind me, but we just, about an hour ago, wrapped up taking shelter in a local restaurant here in Holland, Reservoir. I'm joined here with the restaurant owner. She has grown up here in Holland, and this is, you said, your first time ever experiencing anything like this. Just talk about what was going through your mind.
Yeah, so I mean, you hear the sirens go off when they test it every month. You don't expect to actually have to have that plan in place, but part of running a business is to have that plan ready to go. You know, you make sure that you have the safety of your guests and your team first and foremost in mind. So we always track the weather here. We're right on the lake, so it changes very quickly. We knew a storm was coming, and we wanted to make sure that we had our team that lived further away ready to go just in case. We started to make plans to prepare to move things closer to the building. We were getting our awning screens put on, so our team that was in there to do that, they were getting ready to wrap up and head to Rockford. We tried to get them out and push everything in as quickly as we could. We had some families that were kind of coming in just to get out of the storm that was headed this way. you know, we kind of sat and talked for a minute, you and I, and it was kind of like, at what point do we make this plan? And between the two of us, we figured that out real quickly. So
yes, it really was a team effort, and we were kind of all a family in the bathroom and in the walk-in cooler. But just aside from being a business owner, right? You're a person. This is terrifying, right? And it's never happened to you before. Just walk me through what's going through your mind with that, and also, you know, you have your family as well that were in different locations.
Yeah. So we live just down the road here in Wakazu Woods. My son was just leaving the restaurant, so it was important to me to just ensure, outside of work, that my family and the people who had just left were getting to where they needed to be. But I had people to take care of inside too. So
thank you so much, and thank you for your time and bringing the community in and letting us shelter there. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm glad everyone is safe. Again, we're here in Holland, right on Ottawa Beach Road. Big, huge tree behind me. We just took shelter, so a lot calmer of a scene here, but we'll send it back to you guys right now.
Yeah, Adriana, they had a plan. They executed that plan. Everybody's safe.
Shout out to that restaurant for taking our crew in.
We also want to go out to our correspondent, Duncan McLean, who is in Comstock Township tonight. We had reports of a house that would collapse. Duncan?
Yeah, we're live here in Comstock in the Kalamazoo area where the storm has now officially left us behind. It was a similar story to Holland where it came really quickly and really aggressively. The wind picking up like truly I have never seen. The rain coming in sideways. There was debris coming off buildings in downtown Kalamazoo. And here just outside of downtown, you can see the force of the storm as it came through. This is a massive tree coming down from the backyard of this home on top of it, crushing the roof entirely. Limbs coming over the front of the home. We did speak to a neighbor who said that there was one woman here who was taken to the hospital by an ambulance. That's all we know on their condition so far. And this is one of two trees this size in just this cul-de-sac right on the shores of Morrow Lake that are down on houses. Two trees like this of this size. The neighbors say everyone is okay. At the other side of the house, they were sitting playing some video games on their computer, got up to get a glass of water and check on the storm, and bam, the tree comes down and hits their house. It's a similar story all over the Kalamazoo area. We saw downed power lines, sparking in roads. There was a tremendous amount of street flooding coming out of town. The rain and the wind definitely causing issues here in the Kalamazoo area. Again, we're here in Comstock on the shores of Lake Morrow, or Morrow Lake, where there are trees down on homes now that this storm has left us behind. That constant lightning that's kind of been a hallmark of this storm as it came through our network of sky cams just in the last 5 minutes or so finally left the Kalamazoo area behind, moving on towards Battle Creek. But it was lighting up for 15-20 minutes even after the rain and wind died down. The sky continued to light in that constant bolts of lightning. This is the result of this storm here in the Kalamazoo area. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Duncan McLean on scene down there. Roof damage, certainly a lot of damage to that house, maybe not a collapse, bit overstated on that, but certainly a lot of homes damaged out there. And mentioned the lightning too.
Oh yeah,
vivid display of lightning, one of the more memorable storms that we've seen come through.
And also tonight, thousands of people are in the dark tonight. And Brittany Flowers, she's been monitoring the outages for us. She's joining us now live. Brittany, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Amber and Brian, as it stands right now, we are at now more than 168,000 customers without power. And it's things just like you saw Duncan show, trees that have fallen on power lines, knocked them down. That's obviously going to be very difficult and something that consumers' crews are going to be focused on into the night. You can see that those widespread outages, now those red spots there, that indicates there's 1,000 or more. The yellow kind of orangish spots are 200 to 1,000, and then the purple areas are 51 to 200, and the blue areas are anywhere from 1 to 50. So this is just very widespread. You can see a lot of those too in our south through the Kalamazoo region and heading into the eastern portion of Kalamazoo County, Calhoun County. Looks like they got hit very hard. So more than 168,000 customers without power. If you are using a generator, you do want to make sure that you position that far away from buildings, keep yourself safe, prevent carbon monoxide poisoning in homes and garages. So just something something to keep in mind. And we do know Consumers has deployed had more than 500 crews that were on standby tonight as we prepared for these storms to roll in. So I know that they will be working hard through the night to get that power back on for you. For now, we'll send it back.
Flowers, thank you. Let's send it back now, Ellen, in the tracking center.
Hey everyone, a lot of moving parts. Is my mic back on? I can't tell. There we are. Okay, thanks. A lot of moving parts. Still have a couple of active storms along the line. Battle Creek in the clear, but still portions of Calhoun County, St. Joseph Branch into Jackson. Jackson looks like it's being kind of split here. We'll continue to watch this portion of the storm as it rides just on the south side of I-94 at about 45 miles per hour. Jackson, still stay in your safe place. You still probably have a good hour yet to go before this storm clears completely. You may have noticed that the tornado watch has been trimmed back for almost all of West Michigan. So once we clear this line here, which it's probably going to be, again, the next 30 minutes or so, we will be in the clear. And so far, we haven't been getting any additional wind gust reports that have been significant or damaging, and that's the way that we like it. We do have damage reports that are coming in, however, where the storm has already hit. What you're seeing next to me right now is barn damage. This was sent to us by a viewer. Angela, thank you for taking this picture in a safe way. The location of this barn is about 4 miles north of I-96. And again, you can see that the wind was strong enough to knock down this barn. Now, we don't know much about this barn, if it was one that was structurally sound, if it was one that was a little structurally weak. But remember, when it comes to tornadoes, it just tears through everything. So if there are weak points or trees, anything that it can pick up, it will do so. Also, remember, we've seen tons of straight line winds, little dots across the viewing area. So at times these batches of straight line winds just hit the ground, and occasionally coming in at 70 miles per hour. So that's just as strong as a weak tornado. Even though we don't see the debris signature, the wind speed is the same. And when it comes to materials, a lot of times they don't care if the wind is spinning slightly or, you know, going straight. It's the same amount of wind or force being subjected to the material. So I think tomorrow is going to be a day for a lot of cleanup. Cannot emphasize this enough. Wait till daylight to do that. And remember that early in the day tomorrow, we're probably going to have better conditions. It's going to get a little hot in the afternoon, and it's also going to get windier in the afternoon. We have showers and storms that are likely going to be arriving tomorrow evening. So if you can get out and assess damage tomorrow morning, I would recommend doing so. And then just know you might have to put it on hold by Friday evening. This also might delay power crews. They probably will not be restoring power if the winds are gusting to 40 miles per hour. So we are going to keep that in mind. Again, this is 24-hour News 8, so we have our daybreak crew that is probably just getting ready, setting their alarms to wake up at 1 a.m. here. We have crews downstairs that are splitting the overnight shift, as they usually do, and they'll help to debrief, and we'll continue our coverage. So tomorrow, I think, will give us a much better look at what happened here, get to line up that ground truth with what we saw on the radar, where those debris balls were, if a tornado actually can be confirmed with the wind damage, and what the power outage assessment is like. So we are going to be returning to normal coverage at about 12:05, hearing from iHeart, our radio partners, that they have dropped simulcast, so they are back to normal programming. I think that's a good call. Just know that we are going to continue to watch this line as it moves through St. Joseph and Branch County, as well as the rest of Calhoun. If something's concerning, we will stay here and we will come back on. But I do think that the threat is really diminishing for our area. So we just cannot thank West Michigan enough for being here. Huge thank you to all of Storm Team 8, Blake and Sara, just phenomenal assets. Intern Cole doing some severe weather coverage with us here tonight behind the scenes. But hoping, Amber, Brian, that all we get is damage reports and that it stays that we don't see injuries trickle in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you, Ellen. Great job with the team tonight. Trial by fire for a few of us here.
Absolutely.
Tonight at Storm Team 8.
We have crews out there tonight. We'll have crews in the morning and all day tomorrow as well, taking a look at some of that damage.
Look for updates at Wood TV and woodtv.com. Of course, we'll have comprehensive reports tomorrow afternoon as well.
Stay safe.